Fletcher, good afternoon. With 8 hours to go until kick-off, Harry Kane's telling his England teammates to have no regrets at the World Cup. The skipper, along with some of his more experienced colleagues, have learned from those recent oh-so-nears.
Even with the newer lads, sometimes I think it's nice for them just to have that freedom in their mind of no old memories or anything. You're coming here to express yourself on the bigger stage, and that's where you see the best come out of the players.
Kane will draw level with David Beckham's 115 caps tonight. Our build-up to England-Croatia starts at 7 with live commentary to follow here on talkSPORT. Next, Kylian Mbappe may have become France's all-time leading scorer at the age of just 27, but one man isn't having him. Premier League Golden Boot winner Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank says Mbappe isn't at Ronaldo or Messi level.
Don't get me wrong, he will score goals. He will score goals in this World Cup. He will not have that first half again, but I can't. You shouldn't say Mbappe and Messi in the same sentence.
Real Madrid have announced the signing of free agent Bernardo Silva on a 2-year deal. The former City midfielder lines up for Portugal later against DR Congo. You can hear live commentary on talkSPORT 2 from 6. Confirmation from Rangers that Danny Roll has left the club for RB Salzburg by mutual agreement. Derek McInnes is set to replace him at Ibrox. To the Oval now, where New Zealand have recovered from losing an early wicket on day 1. Watching the second test for talkSPORT, Sam Allard.
Yeah, they're recovering well, Fletch. They're 53 for 1. The wicket fell when the score was on 14. Conway for 9. Fisher, the bowler, shorter ball, angling down leg side, looking to pull. Gloved it through to the keeper. The problem, though, for England now, this partnership's worth 39 runs, and England not creating many chances. Nichols has got 17. The captain, Tom Latham, unbeaten on 27. The sun is out. It looks like a good deck, and New Zealand putting to bat will want to cash in. Half an hour until lunch. New Zealand going nicely, 53 for 1.
Overseas listeners can hear live ball-by-ball commentary on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. And the Prince of Wales Stakes is the feature race at Royal Ascot on day 2. A field of 8 battle it out for the historic £1 million prize pot. You can hear the whole thing at 4:10 over on talkSPORT 2.
talkSPORT News.
I'm not bitter or angry, says the Prime Minister, as there are further calls for him to stand down. And murder laws in the UK could become Americanised. More from Emma at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. This summer, treat yourself to Bridgestone Turanza All-Season 6 tyres with a 25,000 mileage guarantee. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Brightening up, especially in the north throughout the afternoon. Still the chance of the odd shower.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
Good afternoon, UK, and good morning from New York. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT. So Messi, Ronaldo, Mbappe, Haaland and Kane, who will win the battle for World Cup supremacy? Meanwhile, Van Hecke, Tonali, the Spurs ownership's newfound ambition. Do you believe them now? Also today, ahead of their opener against Croatia, how far have England come since the 2018 meeting? Foreign managers and national anthems, is it jingoistic nonsense? First Burnley, now Leeds. How far back should you be able to sue? And with Thomas Partey denied entry into Canada today, should World Cup hosts be expected to bend and flex on policy? It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live in New York on talkSPORT. Hi everyone, well, we are up and running now, are we not? What a day we had yesterday here at the World Cup. France beat Senegal, Norway beat Iraq, Haaland was devastating, Messi was absolutely scintillating as Argentina beat Algeria 3-0 and Austria beat Jordan by 3-1. Today, we have Portugal against Congo. Cristiano Ronaldo is on the scene here. England against Croatia. Will England get the win that they want? Ghana against Panama. Uzbekistan against Colombia. I had an Uber driver from Uzbekistan yesterday. Anyway, all of those games today, right across the talkSPORT network. Mr. Jordan is beside me. What do you make of this? This is known in these parts as a buzz cut. This haircut, do you like it?
Very impressive. I mean, you do realise you could probably get your hair cut with nail scissors, right?
It is a bit... Oh, yeah. But anyway, it's because of the heat. I thought...
Make a big difference, did it?
I'm going to get it cropped.
That millimetre that they took off made a big difference, did it?
That millimetre. How are you doing? I hear
Silver fox.
You've encountered the odd laundry bill.
Oh, yes. I've been, it might have been a state of my pants at the size of the bill, but I put in about 6 pairs of pants, a pair of jeans and 3 pairs of socks. Yeah. And it was $117. So I took a photograph of it and sent it to the head honcho at talkSPORT because their per diems is pathetic and I'm not having it.
Oh, right. Well,
Morning, Liam.
You've got that out there, haven't you? Live on talkSPORT. So laundry bills, yeah, when we were in Germany, somebody told me that you buy underwear as you go. You wear a pair of drawers one day, you bin them. Yeah. A pair of drawers the next day, you bin them. Is that wrong?
I don't know what that tells you about me. But it's a bit of an OCD, yes. But I've discovered this new brand of underpants. Step one, I want some marketing money for that, who are brilliant.
Really?
So now I wear them more than once.
Oh, I see.
Indeed.
How lovely. Simon, I was at France against Senegal yesterday. I have to say, the MetLife, you and I were there the other day at that stadium. It gets a bit frightening and a bit chaotic as you approach this stadium inside the final hour. Now, I shot this material on my phone. Myself and morning producer at talkSPORT, Scott, are in amongst that, as were thousands of French supporters, thousands of Senegalese supporters. You can see it live on YouTube at the moment, if you're watching us on YouTube.
Not fun.
It is a real crush, and many children in there, Simon.
Well, we went there on Saturday, didn't we, for the Brazil-Morocco game, and I know that I will sound a bit precious and people will go around the world going, oh, I would kill to be at a situation like that. Not if you tied my tongue to the back of a bus and dragged me there, would I go to the MetLife again. I think it's logistically awful. I think it's, well, the way it's set up, the way that you have to park. Of course, if you want to pay FIFA $400 to park, then you can get a bit closer. Yeah. But I thought organisation-wise, I thought it was a tragedy on the weekend.
It was a bit frightening, I must say, yesterday, because yesterday was a sellout. All the games are very well attended, but it was a bit frightening. And remember, England are heading there to the MetLife here in New York, New Jersey to be exact, against Panama. So we'll see how that all works out. Here we go, though. Messi has come to the party. So too has Mbappe. Yep. Now Ronaldo. Haaland is here. He's in good form. Kane is about to appear. I wonder, Simon, who's going to win the battle for World Cup supremacy?
Well, I think what you're going to see is a lot of goals. I mean, you have to factor in the opposition. So of all the goals that were scored, I think probably the Mbappe stuff is because it's against more formidable opposition. Senegal were considered to be a game that the French would have a difficult time in. I actually was going to pipe up yesterday, and I didn't for whatever reason. When Julian was in the studio, I think say that I thought the French would win 3-0. They won 3-1. Yeah. But you look at the opposition, and you look at the Iraqis, and you look at the other opposition that's been played against, you're going to score goals against them. And the way that football is now configured, I think if we're running a sweep on who wins the Golden Boot based upon a 5-goal historic criteria, I think people are going to score a lot more goals in this competition than previously. And you've got these strikers. Now, what we don't want is Harry Kane to be a black sheep and be out of the scenario in terms of he's expected to score a lot of goals because of the prolific nature of his performance last year. You know, whether Ronaldo is a starting lineup, I don't know. But Messi scored 3 goals against lesser opposition. Haaland scored a couple of goals against lesser opposition. It'll get tighter for them in the more difficult games.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't be surprised if we see 8 or 9 goals and maybe even 10 goals. I mean, you've got an expanded tournament, so you'd expect it to be factored into the equation. Yeah. But I would expect to see 8 or 9 or even 10 goals being the golden boot for this tournament because you've got the strikers to be able to do it. Yeah.
Messi, Ronaldo, Mbappe, Haaland, Kane. Where does he stand on that list? Well,
Kane's a goal scorer, an out-and-out goal scorer. If you look at Messi, he's a fetcher and a carrier, isn't he? You know, in terms of he will get the ball, give it to others, create chances. If you look at the ridiculous stat that people now put into the equation, which is assists.
Yeah.
Back in the day, it was you pass the ball to somebody, they go and score. Now it's an assist, and people start making. It was the famous observation that Roy Keane made about Bruno Fernandes, which he took exception to, which is about the amount of assists. You go into a game thinking about assists and how your stats look. You know, you look at those players. Kane is a goal scorer. He's as good as a service. You know, we saw some of the challenges that he had, albeit there was an observation that he wasn't as fit as he could be. I hope that the conversation is about Harry Kane being a leading light and not what's happened to Harry Kane. I don't think so. I think coming off the back of the season that he's had in Germany, I think he'll hit the ground running. But the Croatians are a difficult opposition. We have got normally what is the other way round. We've got our most difficult opposition first out of the gate. Now, I hope it proves to be that way.
Yeah.
I hope we don't make a dog's dinner out of Ghana or whatever else, with all due respect to them. But I expect Kane to score goals. And it's about how England play. And the big thing for me, and it must be, I mean, of course, you as a passionate supporter of England will be in the same space as me.
Of course.
Looking at the way that England play. Because in every game that we saw with Gareth Southgate in the Euros and in the World Cups, it's let's sit back, wait for the game to settle. Why about what the opposition's doing? I expect Tuchel to take it to the opposition and make the opposition worry about us.
Right.
Which means we'll play higher up the field, we'll press higher up the field, which is not Kane's game, but notwithstanding it, we are in an attacking mode of thinking, which I think we will be.
Yeah.
Kane will get chances, and when Kane gets chances, he'll score goals.
Is he at the level of those other four?
As a footballer?
Yeah.
Well, his defined... Well, on the ball ability, you can't compare to Messi and Ronaldo. If you want to draw parallels, you draw parallels with, is he as good as Lewandowski? Is he as good as Erling Haaland? He's a centre-forward. That's his primary job. Now, Kane is a bit of a ball player, because we've seen him drop deep when he played for Tottenham a couple of years ago, and he can ping 60-yard balls as good as anyone. But as a striker and a person that takes on a goal to chance ratio, yes, of course he's as good as Haaland.
I mean, who would you rather have lead your attack? Is Kane in there? Messi's got to be the one, has he not? And the evidence of last night. Ronaldo we're yet to see. Mbappe did well. We watched him yesterday. He came alive late on in the game. Haaland looked good, but it was Iraq. Would you have Kane maybe second choice, third choice of all of those, or where?
It depends how you play. I mean, he's a centre forward, so you're talking about different roles.
Yeah.
I always like pace. I think most people like pace.
Yeah.
I like exciting players that can create fear in defenders by pace. But that's not necessarily Kane's job. If you've got a centre forward and you've got wingers putting in balls in and you've got players that can create outcomes, I'd have Kane or Haaland. I'd have Kane, I think, because I think Kane is cleverer than Haaland at this stage in his career.
Well, we're about to find out, Simon. Messi, as you might imagine, making all the headlines over here, the leading story on all the sports networks after what he did last night. A hat-trick against Algeria. 200th appearance for his country. He scored his first hat-trick at a World Cup as Argentina beat Algeria 3-0, as I say. 20 years ago to the day after his World Cup debut as an 18-year-old at Germany 2006. This is his 6th World Cup. But today, all eyes, as far as England fans are concerned, not only here, but with you guys back home, are on Harry Kane. Harry Kane. What's he going to do in this World Cup? He's been talking prior to going in against Croatia.
Coming off the best season that I've ever had, first and foremost, just from a fact point of view, obviously scoring a lot more goals than what I have in any other previous season, which is obviously pleasing. But I think also just physically and mentally, the way the season ended for me was obviously in a great way to win the league and in the cup final and to score the 3 goals there. I think just gave me even more momentum coming into the prep camp with the boys. And yeah, just from a physical point of view, just feel in great shape in the training sessions, in the matches that we've played. So, you know, throughout our career, you need a lot of things to go your way and fall into place at the right time, and I feel like it has for this tournament. So, for sure, it's one of the best opportunities we will have as a team to win it, and I think everyone is eager to, you know, to first of all just start well tomorrow and you know, prove that we have the capabilities of going far in this tournament.
The thing is this, Simon, this is a different Harry Kane to the one that went into the Euros with England in Germany. I think you said Harry Kane at that time looked as if he was carrying a fridge on his back.
Yeah, walking around with Lager, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, look, I don't know what that was about. That was the summer, if my mind serves me correctly, that his brother was running around telling about everyone that he was going to get a move, doing interviews with Gary Neville or whatever else, or he was doing interviews with Gary Neville. And then maybe there was a lot of distractions, but he didn't look fit, and he caught a lot of shrapnel from the British press about his performance. And a lot of people saying he shouldn't be leading the line, shouldn't have been there front and centre.
Yeah.
And it was notable that the winning goal against the Dutch was Ollie Watkins. But Harry Kane, this version of Harry Kane is on fire, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's just scored 61 goals in German football over a season. If he's ever going to be, this is his last World Cup, I would imagine. If he's ever going to really make a significant contribution, which, to be fair, he has made many, many significant contributions, but the argument is always with Kane, does he score goals in big games? Now, obviously, he would point to the successes in the Bundesliga and say, I must have done, because look at the goals I scored. I can't not score big goals.
Yeah.
But goals that make differences, and they'll point to the semi-final penalty against Denmark all those years ago in the Euro 2021s. But when we come to the big games, Harry Kane scoring goals in the group stages is almost given. Would accept that and expect that. When it comes on top, when we start playing the opposition that the goals are going to make a difference to, then Kane is going to come, to my mind, to the fore. And it's about when you create chances in a narrow game, how many chances do you get in a narrow game, and how many do you score on a goal-to-chance ratio?
Yeah.
And Kane is up there with the best of them.
OK, headline stories back home, and we will talk about them. Bernardo Silva has joined Real Madrid. Danny Roll, meantime, has left Rangers. I got some footage on my phone a moment ago. He's in the colours of Salzburg already, taking a training session this morning. Back home as well, it is the second test at the Oval. It's England-New Zealand. Sam Ellard can tell us more. Sam.
England winning the toss, bowling first. They struck early and have their second wicket not too long before lunch. New Zealand 58 for 2. Latham, the captain, looked composed for 27, but he has to go. Jofra Archer back into the attack, going around the wicket, full ball, angling it into the left-handed bat, who tried to work it, flick it through the leg side. Leading edge, a really, really good take by Jacob Bethel. Diving to his right-hand side at gully, takes a really, really good catch. So both openers have been dismissed. The new bat to the crease is Rachin Ravindra. He got off the mark with a flick through the leg side, so he's got 4 runs to his name. Henry Nicholls into the team, replacing Kane Williamson, is unbeaten on 17. Looks a good batting day, a flat wicket, the sun is shining at the Oval. We have got 15 minutes until lunch. New Zealand 62 for 2.
Sam, thank you very much indeed. 8:15 here in New York. They're going to their workout there. The place is buzzing. It always is going to be 25 degrees later on today. And you're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. First up, Toolstation.
Have spoken about your battle in inverted commas with Bukayo Saka.
Yeah.
He's just spoken very highly about you in the press conference.
Yeah. What did he say?
He said you were his brother.
Yeah.
So give some love back to B.
No, he knows. We know. Everyone talks about rivalry and stuff, but if you see us, you wouldn't think that. Of course, we're competitors at heart for sure, and we play in the same position for club and country. So there's that natural competition, but it's not rivalry for sure. We know we're pulling in the same direction. We know we both have parts to play for club and for country. So whenever he's playing, I want him to do the best he can, because he's an amazing player and it's going to help us win, and I'm sure he thinks the same. So that's really it.
It seems to be a bit of a theme, actually. Thomas Tuchel has almost created he's been very clear in everybody's roles, 2 players for each position, and then, elsewhere. And that you're close, the people that you're... What does that do, and how does it help?
Yeah, I think it's great, to be honest. And I feel like also we have such an amazing team where everybody knows how good they are. So it's like, it's not that you're going to be on the bench and you're rubbish. it might be that opponent, that team suits one player better, or someone's in form, and but like if you look at the last game, how the subs came on and won the game for us so easily. That's the strength and depth we have, and it's gonna be crucial for this tournament.
You impressed as well against Costa Rica. It was great seeing you back out there.
Yeah.
We've spoken previously about wanting to score more goals.
Yeah.
Is that the main part of your game that you're working on? Is being more clinical?
Yeah, definitely. I want to be more ruthless. I feel like to go to that level where I'm one of the best wingers in the world, I need to be. I need to score more. Need to assist more. But besides that, I feel like I do so much for the team, irrespective of that. But yeah, definitely. As a winger, you want to score as much as possible. If I could score every game, I would.
Is that the ambition?
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
It is Wednesday, June the 17th, the day England begin their World Cup finals campaign. They go in against Croatia later on today in Group L. 9 o'clock UK time, 4 o'clock for us over here in the United States. This game, of course it is, live on talkSPORT. It's Jim White and it's, well, in actual fact, who is it? Because, Alan, I see a message coming in from you. Is it Jim White and John Travolta live on talkSPORT this morning? Is Simon going to the Odyssey Club in New York later on, Jim?
What, a beautiful cashmere double-breasted jacket.
Yeah.
I mean, I realise that coming on a show, I barely think I'm staying alive at times.
Oh, there you go.
Did you get that? There, thank you. Very good.
It's not even 8:30 in the morning. And
I'm here all week.
He is flying. He's not good, but he's cheap and punctual. The Spurs ownership, do you believe them now, Simon? Here's the thing. Spurs are set to sign Jan-Paul van Hecke from Brighton after agreeing a £52 million deal for the defender. Elsewhere, Tottenham have held talks with representatives of Sandro Tonali, who has been valued at up to £100 million by Newcastle United. I remember in this open letter to the Tottenham fans from the Lewis family, the owners, back in May, Simon, the Tottenham Hotspur board and executive team are fully focused on delivering commitments that we set out to fans at the end of the season. We are all in. We're investing in it. You'll see more of this in the coming months. Is this evidence of what they're going to try and do?
Well, they can talk to Ferenc Puskas for a medium if they want, but they're not going to sign Tonelli. He's not going to sign for Tottenham. But
why?
Because I doubt that he will see an upward move being Tottenham Hotspur, given that he's been at Newcastle, given that the expectation of Newcastle was far greater than ultimately he possibly signed on for. You know, the expectation was that the ownership would have pushed harder and higher. There's expectations of him being going to certain bigger clubs. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up at Arsenal, and the same thing happens to Spurs of Eberechi Eze as it does with Tonali. Now, there's never been an issue with Spurs' spending, has there? I mean, I thought Spurs were spending 150, 200 million pounds pretty regularly. both with this new ownership, laughable new ownership, and the previous incumbent management with Daniel.
Yeah.
So there was never an issue. They were spending 70-odd million quid on Dominic Solanke, weren't they, a couple of years ago? It's been about the wages. The wages are the issue that Tottenham Hotspur have found themselves falling foul of because they won't adjust their wage parameters because they've got banking covenants that support their borrowings. So I never felt for one moment that these guys wouldn't spend more money. They've made so much bloody noise about how much money they're going to spend. I mean, they spent a wonderful investment in January of this year, didn't they, when they were banging in trouble, and they spent £35 million on Conor Gallagher, who they recouped by selling Brennan Johnson to Palace. So there's no surprise in my mind. There's no surprise in my mind that they will spend money.
Well, they're going to get Van Hecke. They might get to Mali. We don't.
Wow.
Yeah, but come on.
No, come on, what? If you're going to take on a top six side, you're going to be, in order to be better than the six sides that you're trying to emulate, which is Tottenham Hotspur's aspiration, you better spend bigger, better, and buy better players than them. And so with that in mind, wow, you're buying a Brighton player. I know that Chelsea have made a staple diet out of it, but notwithstanding that, don't expect me to go, that's impressive. They are going to spend money. There was no doubt they're going to spend money. They've proved they can spend money because they've had their pants pulled down royally and their little bottom spanked blue by the cost implications of Roberto De Zerbi.
Well, is this likely then to end up being a statement summer at Tottenham Hotspur?
Well, it depends what you think a statement is.
I mean, more than a few clubs will want Van Hecke. I'm quite sure of that. More than a few clubs will want Tonali. You mentioned Arsenal.
Yeah, okay.
If Tottenham Hotspur get these players...
So let me reverse out of that. If there were a load of clubs in for this boy from Brighton that were bigger and more significant, where do you think the boy would go? Because you're making the argument there's going to be a load of clubs, right? I would suspect, and there might be the link between De Zerbi, and De Zerbi might have some pull factor in Brighton players.
I'm sure he does.
And that might be one indication of the fact that Spurs have got a material advantage because they've got a guy that managed Brighton 2 or 3 years ago. That lasts so long. The pull factor of De Zerbi ain't that great. I mean, ain't that great a manager, is he? I mean, let's have it. What's he done? He's been at Brighton and produced a successful side at Brighton. Well, so have most people that have been there.
So come on then, what did the Tottenham ownership have to do to impress you?
Do better than they've done. I mean, they're the ones that made all the noise. I'm not making a noise on behalf of Daniel Levy. I'm saying to them, I think they're disingenuous. I think they're duplicitous. I think they're playground bullies. I don't like it. Whether it was Daniel or anyone else, I will always defend somebody when they're not there to defend themselves. I hate people ganging up on people. And people might say, oh, you're shilling for Daniel Levy. I'm not shilling for anybody. You guys are disingenuous. You were the intellectual capital behind the management structure of Daniel Levy. You were involved in all of it. So now what you're trying to do with your slippery little chief executive that you wouldn't want as a witness for the defence if you were on trial is... you're blaming everybody for the past. OK, away you go. We saw what you did last year. We saw what your revolution included. It included you staying in the division on the last game of the season. So off you go, build this football club, back your words up with proper players, change your wage structure, and all of us can sit back and go, well done.
Well, of course, and we would if they get Van Hecke and if they get Tonali. Does Spurs' best chance, Simon, of success come by handing the power to Roberto De Zerbi? Because, by God, he knows what he wants. He knows what he wants. Well, he's a determined character.
We have this sort of reductive conversation once and again, don't we, about the power of managers. Managers have significant influence. What they don't have is their own checkbook to write out for players. So they have to comply with other people that do all the legwork for them. So when we talk about power, is the manager going to run off around the globe and do all the spotting of players and do all the... No, of course he's not. He's going to be confronted with a degree of information, intelligence. He's going to have his own wish list of players that he might have his own little group of, lickspittles running around the world finding for him. And here we are with a situation where he says yes or no. Now, De Zerbi's in a situation where they begged, pleaded and borrowed, called across broken glass to get him in a building, paid him more money 3 times than what he's worth. And so I think he'll get a degree of influence, don't you?
Yeah, I would think so.
How long he lasts,
I would think
how long he lasts and how successful De Zerbi will be, I don't know.
Well, they're certainly laying down a marker. I mean, when you consider it, Van Hecke, well, look at this. Look at this boy. A bunch of people will want him.
Who wants him?
He joined Brighton from NEC Breda in 2020.
Who wants him?
For 1.8 million.
Good business for them.
52 million quid it's going to cost Tottenham, and they're going to pay it.
Another example of very diligent, professional management from Brighton. Brighton must sit there laughing at everyone else's lackadaisical approach to buying players, because it can't just be that needs must makes you better.
I ask you again then, before we hit this break, when are you going to applaud what the Tottenham ownership are doing?
When they produce a team on the field that's worth applauding.
They haven't done that yet.
Oh yeah, they have. Yeah, you're right. Finishing third, fourth and bottom of the league was a real notable achievement.
Yeah, but they got De Zerbi done, Sam. So that is a declaration of intent in itself.
If you turn around and say to someone, how much money do you want? No, that's not enough. Ask for some more, right? That's not negotiating tactics. That was needs must. Now, you should never have been in a position where De Zerbi was able to hijack the conversation, turn it into a situation where he was walking on water. He was Leonard Cohen. It was hallelujah. Here he came, right? And now we've got a situation where De Zerbi has been elevated to some sort of status of a wonderful manager. What's he done that's been so great? He was all right at Shakhtar Donetsk. He was all right at Brighton. He was a bloody pest at the end. He was a pest in France. And we'll see how he elevates. But he certainly isn't one of the top 6 managers in the division.
What did you have for breakfast this morning?
I didn't, actually.
OK, all right, maybe that's why. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan, or is it John Travolta? But we're live on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. First stop, Toolstation.
Bloody John Travolta.
With Cape Verde, it's only fair and right we do this.
¿Alguien ha visto a España? Paella. ¿Puedes oírme, paella? Siempre eres tú. Menuda paliza. Ni cucaracha. Estrella. Chorizo. Chorizo. ¿Puedes oírme, chorizo? Siempre eres tú. Menuda paliza. Siesta. Tiki-taka. Taka, tiki-taka. Tiki-taka, tiki. ¿Puedes oírme? Tiki-tiki. Siempre eres tú. Menuda paliza. La Liga. Tumbonas. Benidorm. Pablo Picasso. Sangría. Islas Canarias, Santiago Bernabéu, Rafael Nadal, Málaga, Penélope Cruz, El Clásico. ¿Puedes oírme? El Clásico. ¿Puedes oírme? España, siempre eres tú. Menuda humildad.
Oh, mate. That's hard work, that, mate.
I didn't know you could.
That's hard work, that.
I didn't know you could.
That took a lot of effort.
I didn't know.
No.
I didn't know you had that in the locker.
Me neither. Unbelievable game that we saw. Spain, the European champions, take on Cape Verde. In a game where I thought Cape Verde absolutely deserved a point out of that. And you know what football's like? I see 5 minutes come up of extra time at the end of the game. I'm like, this football's such a cruel sport that you don't always get what you deserve, but they absolutely got what they deserved. And had Spain somehow nicked that header towards the end, had they somehow nicked a goal, that would have been one of the biggest travesties I can think of.
Listen, I was watching the game. And I was looking at it, I was thinking, damn, I couldn't see a way.
Thomas Tuchel's urging England to be brave tonight. He's told talkSPORT the last 2 weeks have been among the most enjoyable of his career.
I'm very excited to take the step into the tournament. It builds up, but at the same time I'm very calm because I know what I see the players on a daily level and I feel their energy and I feel that it's exactly right.
England v Croatia is live on talkSPORT with all the build-up from 7. Real Madrid have confirmed the signing of free agent Bernardo Silva on a 2-year contract. The former Man City midfielder plays for Portugal against DR Congo today. That's live on talkSPORT 2 from 6 p.m. Lionel Messi says he's surpassed even his wildest boyhood dreams with Argentina. A hat-trick against Algeria means he's the World Cup's joint leading scorer of all time. Kylian Mbappe is only 2 away after getting 2 in France's win over Senegal. But the Premier League Golden Boot winner Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank doesn't think Mbappe is close to Messi's level.
If you see his first half, he was horrendous. He was poor.
Yeah.
I've never seen Messi like that. You know, Messi doesn't have those kind of games.
And Rangers have confirmed the departure of Danny Röhl as head coach. He's off to RB Salzburg. We understand Derek McInnes is one of those who could take over at Ibrox. Get more at talksport.com.
if you are watching live on YouTube. New York City, what a sight it is. Waking up to another busy day here in this part of the world. Just gone 8:30 in the morning over here. Just gone 1:30 in the afternoon with you in the UK. Hi everyone, it's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT, live on your TV as well, even Prime Video. Wherever you want to watch us, you can do just that. Many of you getting in touch with us here in the studio on the 50th floor of the World Trade Center. I'll bring some messages to air as we go. Bernardo Silva joining Real Madrid. Danny Roll leaving Rangers. Now at Salzburg in Austria. That his next port of call. We will follow that up very shortly because it's widely expected that Derek McInnes will go from Hearts to Rangers. Not confirmed as yet. Back home at the Oval, and I know exactly where that is in London. It is England-New Zealand, the second test, and they're at lunch, and so is Sam.
It's time for some lunch, Jim, and New Zealand go to lunch 75-2. England winning the toss, bowling first. They picked up an early wicket. Devon Conway going for 9. Fisher back in the test team for the first time in 3 years, angling the ball down the leg side. Conway looking to pull, took the glove, caught behind by James Rue, who is on debut. The second wicket partnership was a good one for New Zealand, taking the score to 58. Latham and Nichols looked good, but the captain went for 27. Archer coming back for his second spell, angling a full ball into the left-handed batter. Looked to flick through the leg side, leading edge caught at gully. He went for 27. The score ticked along to 75-2 at lunch. Rachin Ravindra in a 4, hitting a couple of quick boundaries. He's got 11. Nichols has got 23. And now, Jim, it's time for me to go and get some lunch. We're back underway in 35 minutes' time. New Zealand 75-2.
As always, good job by you, Sam Ellard. Thank you very much indeed. I mentioned earlier France-Senegal yesterday, going into the game, a bit of a crush. So many supporters gathering in a real bottleneck on a bridge going over a road going into the MetLife in New Jersey. Nick and Mark have got in touch. Good morning, Jim. Great show as always. Thank you, guys. We were at Scotland-Haiti in Boston, and the France game, like you were yesterday, the MetLife setup was 1,000,000 times better than the Gillette Stadium train queues. There were hours-long crush points getting into the ground, gridlocked roads. Nick and Mark, thank you for that. It's good to get eyewitness accounts from those who are over here and seeing what they're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you compare it to what we had in Qatar, it was different. I mean, Piers came on yesterday and said that every stadium was walking distance, which was nonsense, because we drove out to one that was about 15 kilometres outside the towns. But you're going to get congestion in wherever you go.
Sure.
But the access to stadiums and the logistics of walking around the way that we did at the MetLife and the way you're being funneled in and the way you have to walk around the entire footprint. And it sounds like we're whining, but when you can walk out of a football stadium, and we have football stadiums in England, we have crowds that are commensurate with the crowds that you're getting here, because we've got 50, 60, 70,000 seater stadiums in the UK. You don't find yourself taking 45 minutes, as we did the other day, to walk off the footprint of the stadium.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff, alongside bottlenecking and almost kettling, it's almost kettling.
Well, that's what it was like yesterday.
Is not what you would expect.
No, not
it wasn't, and I don't think to do with demand and over exuberance of fans that are turning up, as we've seen in domestic situations where they're outside the stadium and people are trying to get tickets and there's all this free-for-all and hullabaloo. It's nothing to do with that.
Sure.
It's to do with the way the Americans have decided that they're going to marshal these games and filter people into stadiums. And of course it then becomes compounded, and again people go say, oh, boo-hoo, woe is you, by the nature of the weather.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're standing in 32-degree temperatures. You've got young kids standing there. People are wilting. And, I mean, you went there yesterday, and I wouldn't... No way would I can't imagine.
Yeah, yeah.
It was hot on Saturday, wasn't it? Bloody ridiculous.
Well, hopefully England fans, Croatian fans will get in and out of Dallas Stadium tonight, no problem, because it all starts tonight for England. And, of course, at 9 o'clock UK time, that is when you want to be tuning in. It's live on talkSPORT. And as I say, Tuchel's campaign gets under tonight with England. So along with Village Hotel, Simon, let's have a look at this. As far as you're concerned, as a true Englishman, and you are, what is the overriding feeling going into this? Anticipation, excitement, or expectation? Before you answer, let's hear from Thomas Tuchel on it.
Well, no message to the nation. I hope they enjoy our match and they can feel and see tomorrow what I felt and saw the last 16 days. Brilliant effort and brilliant atmosphere, attitude from players and from the whole team, around the team, behind the team. So I hope we can express that and we can show that. And they can be proud of us. That's what we want to achieve. I am personally very excited. Once you arrive, the 16 days flew by. So now we're here, we're at the starting line. Tomorrow we enter the tournament. Once you arrive at the venue in the city where you play, you instantly feel the tension and the excitement, and yeah, that's how it should be. So I feel that we are ready to go, and let's see tomorrow.
Let's have it, really. Thomas Tuchel is saying, let's get on with it. How do you feel about it?
I'm highly engaged with Thomas Tuchel and have been since his appointment. You know, the surprise factor of his appointment created a reaction in most people. Just shows you if you want to appoint a manager, the world doesn't have to be told about it first, right? You can reveal when you choose to. From the manner in which he's conducted himself throughout the time, he is enthusiastic. He should be enthusiastic. This is a whole new ball game for him as well. He's a domestic manager that's turned into an international manager at a very early stage in his career. He's an elite manager. I've always been enamoured with him as a manager. I was not impressed with some of the things I heard about his conduct domestically, but as a manager, when he came in, I really liked him when he walked through the door with Chelsea. He, of course, won the Champions League with them. He, of course, has pedigree. He does fall out with people. But in this incarnation, I've been nothing but impressed. You know, there was far more engagement, with due respect, and I don't like to keep on appearing to hammer Gareth Southgate because that's not what I'm attempting to do. There was far more elevated intent in that one interview than I ever heard in the 7 or 8 years that Gareth Southgate was occupying a position. We're ready to go. Really? Yeah, there's just a language, there's a meaning behind what he's saying. There's an intent, there's an intensity of intent behind what he's saying, which is we're ready to go.
It's a rallying cry. It's not a lot more than that.
But it's a rallying cry that's not about leaving margins of error or giving yourself a comfort factor. We've had 16 days. It's flown by. We're ready to go. And Thomas Tuchel knows that Thomas Tuchel wasn't brought in to maintain the status quo. He wasn't put in to put up a good fight. A good fight is one you win, not one you turn up to.
Yeah.
Right? So he's in that mindset, and I like him. I like the fact that we've got an elite manager. I like the fact that he's not interested in management by cooperative. He's not interested in the media's input as to who he picks and how he picks them, right? Because years and years we've seen the media trying to pick teams for England and suggesting they know better. He has to win. He knows he has to win. Now, I know that there's an insulation for the contract behind it, but he doesn't need that. If he stank the place out, I doubt he'd stay beyond this contract. But I feel energised by Tuchel.
And on that contract, does he really need the FA Chief Exec, Mark Bulliam, to reveal that there is a performance clause in his contract? Bulliam says there are performance clauses in every single contract with the FA. I'm not going to go into any detail. Yeah. I'm just not going there. The reality is we're confident he's going to be our coach in 2028.
Yes, I mean,
it's 2026. Yeah, do we need to hear that?
I'd like to see performance clauses that work both ways. We take money away from you if you underachieve, then we'll see how well you like that one. But the performance clause is all about upside. I don't need to know if he's got a performance clause. If he wins the World Cup, one would assume every bugger in football's got a performance clause for just turning up, right? So that's no big indication, isn't it? You know, you sign a contract, after a year you get a loyalty payment, you get a sign-on fee for turning up, you get an appearance money for turning up, you get a win bonus for doing the very thing you're supposed to do in the first place, and on and on we go. In this instance, the performance bonus is just more upside for him. So nobody's interested in that. I'd like to see, as I just said in my little facetious way, if you stank it out, you've got money taken away from you. Then we'd see how people's minds were focused. Thomas Tuchel, for me, is a winner. And he will go, and we will go hard in this tournament, or we will go home. And that's what I'm happy with. Now, if that go hard brings us an outcome that wins us a World Cup, fantastic. But if that go hard takes us to a point where something out of left field alters the landscape when we don't win it, then I can live with that more than I can live with the hedge, survive, hang on by our fingertips, wait for the opposition to perhaps fall on their side, never take a risk, sort of philosophy that I think we had, with due respect, under the previous management.
OK, well, don't expect Thomas Tuchel to sing the national anthem tonight pre-match, because he's not going to do it. Maybe in time he will, he says, but not yet. We'll get into that next. But just a reminder, as if you need it. England against Croatia tonight. It all gets underway. It's a 9 o'clock kickoff UK time. It's live on talkSPORT. And Tuchel says, you bet we're ready. We're live in New York City on another morning of beautiful sunshine. It's Wednesday, June the 17th, and it's match day for England.
I think all England have to do is win, and I disagree, Andy. There has to be a good performance tomorrow, because if there isn't, we already seen the kind of pressure that Thomas Tuchel's on for not picking, Trent, for not picking some of the players he's picked. They have to score tomorrow, and they have to perform well.
Yeah, but I understand why you would say that, but look at Spain, right? I mean, it was an awful performance, but we've seen teams start the competition really poorly and go on to actually win it. We've seen teams lose their first game and go on to win it. For me, as an England fan, although I will sit here tomorrow and say it was a terrible performance, but we won 1-0, if we win 1-0 and we get all 3 points, that, for me, is the most important thing.
Overall, but you don't compare us to Spain. No disrespect. We're nowhere near them.
I'm not comparing. I'm just giving you an example of a team that plays badly and doesn't get...
That's a bad example. That's a bad example because we haven't won, Andy.
Well, no. I'm not comparing. Okay, Argentina. I'm not comparing England to Argentina, but they have lost an opening group game and gone on to win the World Cup.
That's still a bad example, Andy, because these are teams that have won the World Cup.
Okay, Joe, what would you rather? Okay, what would you rather have tonight? An unbelievable England performance, Harry Kane hat-trick, we draw 3-3, or a terrible, one of the worst performances you've ever seen, and we win with a 90th minute penalty?
Well, Andy, of course we would rather win.
That's what I'm saying.
Those examples that you gave are with teams that have started badly and gone on to win the World Cup.
Well, no, I'm just giving you examples of teams that haven't started the competition well and gone on to the late stages. I don't think it's important that England play well tonight. I think it's important we win. What's key tonight? If number one thing that needs to...
Hello, I'm Matt Fordham from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
The Playbook with talkSPORT Bet. Download the app or visit talksportbet.com for all the latest odds and offers. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Time to look ahead to the day with talkSPORT Bet, and their ambassador, Ryan Douglas, is with Simon and myself here in the World Trade Center. Ryan, New York time, good morning. Back home, good afternoon, Ryan. England chances and the chances of England getting out of this group. What are you thinking?
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, England are going to be odds on to do this. What we can do at talkSPORT Bet is we can give you a welcome offer. Before the England ball has been kicked, we can give you 30-1 for England to top the group for all new customers. So that's something that we're doing for all the White and Jordan listeners and watchers. In terms of England themselves, obviously, if they're going to do that, we're going to focus on Harry Kane. I know you spoke a little bit about him at the top of the show, but just giving you some... I like to back it up with some odds and what the odds are suggesting here. So in terms of Mbappe and Messi to get player of the tournament now, they're the joint favourites of 5-2. By comparison, Harry Kane to get player of the tournament is 10-1. That's the same price as someone like a Lamine Yamal. In terms of the Golden Boot, he's 7-1. You've got Haaland now, who's 6-1. Yesterday, when I was on air with you both, he was 16-1. So we called that at 16s, and now he's 6-1. So Harry Kane, yes, he is going to be in amongst it. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm one of those Brits. I'm feeling a little bit, I know you're about opinion, a bit pessimistic. I'm not going to lie to you.
What about England?
A little bit. A little bit. I'm not going to lie to you.
Why?
I don't know. It's just this...
Well, pack it in then.
I know. I'm trying, Simon. I'm trying.
No, tell me why.
Do you know, I'm just...
Don't leap on it because it's England.
Shut up.
Oh, I'm realising now Jim's face is lighting up. Do you know what? I'm just thinking, I've seen Messi grab this team, that Argentina team, by the scruff of the neck. Mbappe did the same.
Yes.
You're talking about Kane, even yourself, Simon, you spoke about it earlier, and I know you're not big on assists. You're speaking about Kane, how he needs the service. Where's that service going to come from? I'm thinking, is it Rice from a set piece? Look, I might be being a bit too pessimistic here.
Oh, Ryan, what have you brought to this
I'm
studio
worried,
in New
negative
York this
energy.
morning?
And I'm sorry, but that's just where I am right now. Where does the creativity come from?
We'll see, won't we? There's plenty of team players in that side.
No, come on, that's too general. Come on, he's asking you.
There's plenty of players in that side that are going to create outcomes from them, whether you've got Bukayo Saka creating outcomes, whether you've got Madueke, who I think is a little bit one-dimensional, whether Anthony Gordon provides opportunities. There's plenty of talent in that side that's going to create outcomes. Elliot Anderson is a very clever player at times. So there's plenty of opportunities in that side to give Harry Kane his opportunity. Look, forget the first set of games. I mean, Iraq and Algeria, yeah, fantastic. We are playing in our first game, so it's an unfair comparison. I know there is an element of Dad's Army about them, but there is still a meaningful side, Croatia. There were significant international European side that performed at high levels. So when we're talking about Iraq, with due respect, and we're talking about Algeria and a few of the other sides that have been suddenly catapulted into being meaningful for the conversation because we've got a couple of goals being scored against them by big names, that's not a blueprint.
So what's your message to Ryan? If Ryan is slightly doubtful about how England will do against Croatia?
I don't think we need to have a message. I think the team needs to go out and set their stall out, play well, and everyone will feel differently tomorrow if Ryan needs that encouragement.
I hope you're right. I honestly hope you're right. And I know I'm being particularly miserable. I know that, but I'm just worried. I'm just worried.
Well, you can't lose, can you? Because if England stink it out today, you were right. If they win, you're grateful.
Yeah.
So you can't lose.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's talk Portugal and Bruno Fernandes. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every single tournament, since I can remember, really, it's been about Cristiano Ronaldo, since the noughties. But we're just getting into a place now, and again, I'll steep this with a little bit of odds here. Cristiano Ronaldo is 33-1 to win the player of the tournament. 33-1, that's the same price as Saka to win player of the tournament.
Right.
That's where we are right now.
Right, yeah.
So that's suggesting there's been suggestions of media outlets and people that are reviewing Portugal and their chances. They might have to go through Bruno Fernandes now. Again, I know you spoke about assists earlier, but he broke the assist record in the Premier League. I mean, I'm looking at him to be one of the players of the tournament. That's probably my outside shout at 16-1, because 8 assists is the record in the World Cup, set by Messi, set by Maradona.
Yeah.
What talkSPORT Bet are doing here, 9 assists, you can get Bruno Fernandes at 14-1 to break the assist record in the World Cup.
Every chance, I would think.
Absolutely, I think so. And again, I know you're not big on assists potentially, Simon, but he's shaking his head at me. But it's the problem with England, I'm saying, is creativity. Surely, you know, Bruno Fernandes...
Well, it hasn't shown itself in the qualifiers. And again, I make the point caveated because I don't take much notice of the qualifiers because I expect them to go through. They've scored goals. They've produced outcomes, and I think they'll produce outcomes again. I think a lot of the reasons why England previously have struggled is because they have played a brand of football that's been cautious. I don't think Thomas Tuchel's going to do that. He's going to allow players to have a much more freer rein.
Yeah.
And clearly, these players are good players, and they'll create outcomes. So as far as the tournament is concerned, how many times over the last 10 World Cups has a player with the most assists been the player of the tournament?
Yeah, no, I hear you.
I suspect.
It's a fair bit.
I hear you, yeah.
You know this doubtful thing about England tonight, Ryan? I think you're at it this morning.
Yeah.
I think you're just winding us up.
Do you know what? I'm not. What it comes when it's linked with the Harry Kane chat. I agree with you, Simon. I don't know, especially in recent history, if I've been blown away by Harry Kane in an England shirt. I don't know if solely he's going to be the guy.
I know what you mean.
To do it.
Yeah, I think that's fair too. I think they've got to prove it this time.
He's in the form of his life, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's in the form of his life.
Ryan, good to see you. That was a look at the latest odds thanks to talkSPORT Bet. 18+, gambleaware.org.
The Playbook with talkSPORT Bet. Download the app or visit talksportbet.com to see all our latest sign-up offers. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Ryan stays with us. Before we hit the break at the top of the hour, coming up to 9 o'clock in the morning here in New York, coming up to 2 back home. You would want, in an ideal world, you want to see the England players booming it out, the national anthem tonight, do you?
Well, I have mixed emotions about it because I think it's about standards. But I have mixed emotions about the national anthem because I look at the national anthem and think to myself, whilst I appreciate a national anthem, I think if you look and analyse it, most national anthems around the world are about celebrating revolution or the spirit of the country. Ours is about celebrating the boss man. So I think that the national anthem needs to be looked at. But in my belief system, I'd like to see the players singing a national anthem. I'd like to think they wanted to do it because playing for England and the pride that represents and the standards that our country at times doesn't appear to have in terms of its value of itself.
Right.
It'll value everyone else's flag, but it will demean ours because it perhaps indexes back to a colonial past.
You see, I don't think Tuchel doesn't want to sing it yet, Ryan.
Yeah.
He's saying, no, I'm not ready to do that yet. Maybe at the end I'll do it. I'm still a bit shy. I don't know if that bothers you in any way. Does it bother you? Because Graham Potter sang the Swedish national anthem before their World Cup game against Tunisia. Pochettino, though, did not sing
Potter's got
Potter's
got a deep-seated relationship with Sweden because he managed there and he got his management chops there before he came back to England. There are plenty of examples, and interestingly, the examples are predominantly in rugby, which is Eddie Jones was very much embracing the national anthem. Warren Gatland embraced the national anthem of the Welsh, not that it helped him very much. And then you've got Jurgen Klinsmann once upon a time when he managed the US. I personally believe that there is a value in respecting the culture in which you are. There's not enough in our country, in England, about respecting and embracing the values of our own country. Too much of concessions to everybody else and appeasement. So again, I go back to the national anthem. I think Land of Hope and Glory is a better methodology. Because,
you want it changed?
Well, the reasons why is because when you analyse our national anthem and against others, look at Spain's national anthem, look at the French's national anthem. It's all about galvanising spirit. It's about revolution. It's about the value of the country.
Just like Flower of Scotland.
Yeah, to some extent, yeah. Whereas ours is about celebrating the boss man. Who celebrates the boss man in life? Right? So culturally, I think there could be a change. But in principle, I'd like to see whether you're a German or whether you're an Englishman, singing the national anthem, I'd like to see, not as a mandated perspective, I'd like to think that the deep-seated pride and sense of responsibility that players have would want them to index themselves. Whether they know the words or whether they're bright enough to sing it is a different discussion. But the point is that my view in an ideal world would that the national anthem was part of the psyche. But the national anthem that we have...
That's not jingoistic in any way, is
it?
Well,
I think, no, it depends how you want to utilise it.
Yeah.
You should feel, there should be this spirit. I mean, I saw that load of old tosh when Michael Sheen went in the dressing room with the Welsh and talked about breathing fire, and they went out with a fart, didn't they? but in this instance, my view is, yes, they should, but it should be a national anthem that reflects the values of our country rather than the celebration of a king.
I do hope the England fans tonight in Dallas really boom it out, because the record in terms of volume so far
is you guys.
Was Scotland against Haiti and Flower of Scotland. And boy, did they sing it with pride.
But that's because of scarcity, right?
What do you mean scarcity? Because
you never go into tournaments. And you're not here for very long. So you take your moments. Okay. When your moments come so few and far, I'm not surprised that the gobby jocks were singing their hearts out. But the fact is they were brilliant. And even I sat there.
The gobby jocks. I'm glad you get that right.
Even I sat there.
Yeah.
Despite the shrilling hysteria of Shaban, and sat there watching it going, I feel quite proud of you guys.
Good.
I felt quite proud of you. I mean, I wanted you to get pumped still.
Oh, that's
but
nice.
I felt quite proud of you.
OK, you want to hear them on Friday, of course, when we take on Morocco. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. First stop, Toolstation.
England can get other players in their top form and scoring goals as well, not only Harry Kane, Bellingham playing really his best football that he played when he just went to Real Madrid, Rashford, Saka, and then also players on the bench coming off and being an important role in that. England can go really far and can go to the final. You know, it's that momentum that you need, it's that belief, and you don't have to play you don't really want to play your best football against Croatia. You in a way, you want to struggle a little bit, not play bad, play okay, struggle a little bit, winning 1-0 or 2-1 or whatsoever. Well, 1-0 preferably, and build your confidence and go on.
What have you made of Thomas Tuchel and the way he's handled the job so far? Are you impressed with him, Jim?
I like him. I like him a lot. He's got that likability. I was fortunate to sit next to him or sit close to him when first of all with the Chelsea games when he comes and watch Chelsea, but also with the final of the FA Cup, and when all the players came past him, he had an interaction with all players, and you could see the facial expression of all players. They all really like him, and all really take the time with him. Even his previous players, you know, the foreign players. So that says a lot about a manager. You know, you know yourself. Yep. Some managers you just don't want to speak to that you have worked with.
Sport.
I'm Ben Fletcher. Good afternoon. Thomas Tuchel is very excited to get going and wants to make England fans proud. Just shy of 7 hours until kick-off against Croatia in Group L, and the England boss admits it doesn't feel like long ago they were touching down stateside.
Flew by, time flew by. We had a lot to do, and we had the full focus was on us, but time flew really. It went so quick, so it's hard to believe that we're already 16 days here.
Croatia have been the ultimate party poopers for England over the years, denying them a place at Euro 2008 and more recently beating them in the 2018 World Cup semi-final. Skipper Harry Kane's told talkSPORT lessons have been learned since then.
A difficult ending for us. I feel like we was inexperienced in that moment to say. I don't think there was many people around the world expecting England to get to that semi-final. We got there through hard work and great performances, and then we just fell at the final hurdle. You know, it was small margins, but I felt like on that day they just had a bit more experience.
Build up to our live commentary from the Dallas Stadium gets underway at 7 here on talkSPORT. Before that, over on talkSPORT 2, you can hear Portugal v DCR from 6. Real Madrid's new signing, Bernardo Silva, will be in the lineup. Elsewhere today, we're warned one swallow doesn't make a summer when it comes to Lionel Messi. A hat-trick against Algeria makes him the joint leading World Cup goal scorer of all time. But Sean Dyche says right now isn't when he's needed the most.
I think they'll be looking for Messi to really stand up when it counts. And of course, he has done many times. Let me make that clear. I'm not suggesting he doesn't stand up when it counts, because he certainly does. But I think these games are getting the job done. And like I say, no disrespect to the smaller nations, but I think it is getting the job done for teams like Argentina, and they certainly did get the job done.
And New Zealand are 75 for 2 at lunch on day 1 of the second test after being put into bat by England. Wicket-keeper James Rew caught Devon Conway out for 9 off the bowling of Matthew Fisher. Jacob Bethell then took a stunning catch to dismiss Tom Latham off Jofra Archer at Gully. Plenty more on the live blog at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
The Tories are accusing the government of being on life support as there are further calls for the Prime Minister to stand down, and the crime of murder could be split into first and second degree like in America. More from Emma at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Today it's raining tyres in our centres, including top-notch brands like Pirelli. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Warming up in the southeast, the sun has got his hat on. Pockets of rain in the north and the west.
Hello.
talkSPORT's Big Match Build-Up with Village Hotels. Watch the big games live in the pub and grill at your local Village Hotel. Find your nearest at villagehotels.com.
It's Kieran Trippier. Oh, it's in! What a start for England! Inside the opening 5 minutes!
We're not the top favourites. We can't be because we haven't won it for so many years.
Throw taken. Rodgers, left-footed, beaten away and headed in for 3-0 by Ollie Watkins.
Thomas Tuchel will be quite pleased with some of the stuff he's seen today, without a doubt.
That's one to give England confidence.
To win it with England, it is a dream come true for me. So if there's still anyone doubting, we have to convince them on the pitch.
They're facing an ageing side. They're facing a side that are probably not at their pomp as they were a couple of years ago.
Checks back onto his right again. Oh, what a goal! What a goal from Luka Modric!
We should not be worried about Croatia. We really shouldn't. That's what England fans have to do. Believe in the manager and trust.
We compete for the trophy. We dream big and we want to go all the way.
England, it starts tonight for you back in the UK, 9 o'clock, England against Croatia, live on talkSPORT, of course. Group L, England's World Cup finals campaign at last gets underway. Time now for a big match build-up with Village Hotels, and I'm delighted to say he's made it to the 50th floor here at the World Trade Center, joining Simon and myself live on talkSPORT, live on YouTube as well. You can see him as well as hear him. Former England, Manchester United, Watford and West Brom goalkeeper Ben Foster joins us here in New York this morning. It's just gone 9 o'clock this morning, and I believe, Ben, you encountered the security in the ground floor at the World Trade Center. When you arrived moments ago with your bike, what happened?
They are on it, by the way. Oh, my gosh. It's a Brompton. It's a simple little fold-up Brompton. It took me 10 minutes to ride over here. Oh, my gosh. You'd have thought I've walked in with God knows what when I walked through that front door. But, yeah, security are on it, so I think we're safe up here anyway.
It's great to see you. So you're based in New York, and obviously, you're like us, you're going to be covering it every which way. We'll get into the specifics of England's group, but let's now start looking at what qualification would mean to them. I mean, it starts tonight against Croatia. When you look back at the qualifying campaign, Ben, it saw 8 wins from 8 and not a single goal conceded along the way. How do England transform qualification form into tournament success? Because now it matters.
Yeah, now it matters. I'm really interested to see how the players deal just with the expectation. I think really we've had a few years now, best part of a decade really, where we are expected to go far. We're doing finals, we're semi-finals. The pressure's off a little bit more, I'd say, this tournament, maybe just a little bit more with the turnover that we've had. But I still think there's a weight on their shoulders where I think the big boys, I hope, will start to shine. I want to see Jude Bellingham really step up, whether he starts tonight or not. I hope that he comes into the tournament and shows everybody the Jude Bellingham that we want to see. Less of the theatrics, just more of on the pitch doing it. And we've got the best striker in world football at this moment in time in Harry Kane as well. So if the big boys start to show up, I think we've already seen with some of the shocks we've had so far in this tournament, I think anything can happen in this World Cup.
Ben, are you in the Thomas Tuchel defining factor camp?
What does that mean? What's the defining factor?
Well, Tuchel is a man who could make the difference. Gareth took England so far. Now Tuchel could take you all the way. Or do you believe that?
I think he... See, there's two different questions here, I think. I think that Gareth Southgate is the man to get us to that point. I'm not sure if Thomas Tuchel has the same abilities to be able to get us to that point. I think Thomas Tuchel could get us over the line better. I think he could do a finisher better than what Gareth Southgate could do.
No, you don't think that? You think Tuchel could be the man... If anyone's going to take you all the way, it's Thomas Tuchel.
Well,
Am I right?
I would probably ask Ben to qualify that a little bit more as to the reasons why there would be a differentiator between Gareth Southgate beating opposition that most of us would expect to beat anyway, because that's the allegation I put at him, Ben, which is we beat everybody that on paper we should, and when it comes up against an opposition that perhaps we have a 50-50 or less than 50-50 chance, we lose. And I think that's not an unfair comment because it's been borne out by empirical data. So why is it that you think that Thomas Tuchel might have a disadvantage in the getting us there space and an advantage in the getting across the line space where Gareth filled? Why do you think that is?
I wouldn't necessarily say he's got disadvantage. I just think that Gareth Southgate had better, I think, the man management skills part of it. But when you're away at a major tournament...
How do you square that with what Judas said then? How do you square that with Jude's little outburst, or observation, shall we say, about the spirit of how he felt in that last camp?
Honestly, I never pay any attention to what any players say at these tournaments. When you stick a microphone in front of any of these players and you're asking them a serious question, a proper question, I'll never read anything into it, because I've been in that position, and you say exactly what you need to say in that moment in time. I don't really think there's much weight in too much of what he says. I really don't. And there's always an element of sort of covering your back a little bit as well.
True.
So are you saying man management might be an issue here?
No, I don't think it's an issue. I definitely don't think it's an issue. I just think Gareth Southgate, I think he had us much more harmonious. And we're living in a world now where that is much more important than what it used to be. I come from an era where I used to love the rough and readiness of people just pulling you and telling you and being dead straight with you and direct, and you knew where you stood with that. And you can't do that nowadays.
Doesn't harmony come with winning?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So if England are winning under Tuchel, and of course they were winning in the Euros at times, but the performances were poor. So what they were feeling was a pressure from the outside, which they didn't like, and they turned it into some sort of victims complex to players because they were being criticised rather than the media using it as a cheerleader. So isn't the harmony predominantly created, and the buy-in and the background noise of players that aren't getting played or feel they've got something to say because they're not being included, all of that is marginalised by Tuchel beating Croatia, beating the teams in front of him, and all the background noise goes away, and the perception of having to, placate players or to appease them and to go to the culture in this day and age of keeping harmony, that comes from winning, doesn't it, more than anything?
For sure, I totally agree, but we have to win first. If we can win tonight, if we can win our next game, get off to a really good start, oh my God, it's the best place to be, it really is. But then, on the opposite foot, when we're losing, that's when you really start to see what people are making.
Do you think it's harmonious now? Do you think, Tuchel's quite to the point, isn't he, in everything he does? We've got the 8 qualifying games that we've been through, conceded no goals, we've won them. Do you get the impression that it's a harmonious camp as it is before the game? I know you say that it comes with winning. Yeah. Well, they've gone their qualifying group, they've won all their games, they know nothing really besides a couple of friendlies that have been not great, right? But other than that, they've won the games that they've participated in. So do you get the impression that there is harmony in the camp, that they like their manager?
Yeah, I'd say they do like the manager, but I also think that it's a much different approach from Gareth Southgate. The way the manager talks to him, I feel, would be much more direct. Yeah. And I think that takes a little bit of getting used to as well.
But you like that?
No, I love that. I'm all over that. But the modern footballer, I think they have to get used to that. I don't think it's not run of the mill for them anymore. If you go back to their clubs, I think the managers there, they have to be so careful with how they treat players, and they have to tread on eggshells around them because they're not used to that anymore. It's almost like you can't get away with that anymore.
Which is crazy though, Ben.
It's crazy.
If Tuchel's direct, that's what you need.
If you get off to a good start, he can do what he wants. It's as simple as that. If we win tonight, win our second game, win our third game, get to the quarterfinal, he's the man that's in charge, but he has to get off to a good start.
I
it's
get
his
what
first
Ben's
major
saying,
tournament.
Simon. Tuchel might be direct, yes. He says what he thinks and thinks what he says. But that only works when you win.
Sure,
and I get that.
But then there's also an element of it's all very good to observe on the directness of a style, but we've created and curated, a lot of it done by the media as well, this atmosphere that when players are criticised, it's the wrong thing to do, when people are harsh. So you build up this kind of culture. Players are lionised, managers are lionised at times. And when you make people accountable, it's often the media that are the ones the most offended, not the players. And then the players are watching this. They're watching this backdrop of how they've got built-in excuses because sections of the media are always protecting and insulating. And sections of society don't like, if you tell someone the truth, it might affect their mental well-being. Pack it in.
I love it.
It builds character. It's right though, Ben, isn't it? It builds character.
If you think players don't watch every little second and read every little comment and column that is written about them, then you're living in La La Land, I promise you. They know exactly what's...
Ben, this is fascinating, actually.
They know how to play the media as well.
Before we get to the break, I want you to tell me at the moment, it's impossible to know with any degree of accuracy. Second guess it for me. What's the atmosphere like within that squad at the moment with England?
I think it'll be a little bit of nerves. It's almost like a little bit of a holiday camp, a youth camp at the minute. Do you remember when you were a kid at school and you used to go away and you get a little bit of freedom?
A long way to go for Jim.
But I think they'll just be a little bit nervy, to be honest with you. I don't think it helps them playing this late into the tournament. I'd much rather get playing on the second day, third day, something like that. They've had to watch, 20-odd, 30 matches so far?
Yeah, true.
I think they'd have rather gotten started early doors. So I think there will be a little bit of nerves creeping in that. And also, Croatia, I know they've got an ageing team, I'd much rather have played Croatia as a third group game as well, instead of the first, when those older boys are a bit more fresh.
Yeah, interesting point that about Croatia. Is it going to be revenge or repeat against Croatia after the pain for England of 2018? Ben Foster is with us. In spite of his problems getting into the World Trade Centre, but he's with us on the 50th floor, and we are delighted about that. And of course, we're live in talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. Fast Track delivers to you from just 30 minutes, the New York skyline. If you're watching on YouTube, by God, we're getting used to it, and it's quite magnificent. First stop, Toolstation.
talkSPORT's big match build-up with Village Hotels. Watch the big games live in the pub and grill at your local Village Hotel. Find your nearest at villagehotels.com.
Neil, yesterday we had another French legend in the studio, in Emmanuel Petit, and I asked him... No, in fact, I didn't even ask him. He just offered it to us. He said that he thinks Mbappe is more important than Henry was to France. Who do you put above the other on that list? Who's a better player? Who's more important?
I think Mbappe is the main man. He's the guy for France, and actually he's had some tough time at Madrid this season, but with France. He's always there, and he's always playing well. And I think when you look at the stats he scored, I think he's got already like 14 World Cup goals, yes. 58 goals for France. So he's the top scorer of all time. I've backed him from the start, and I believe he's got a big desire to prove like all the people wrong after his tough season, I'd say, at Madrid.
I remember as a kid growing up watching France, you had the great Michel Platini playing, who I think is possibly the best French player of all time. Is that how you guys see it over in France? Who is number one on your list?
It's hard to say, because I feel like most of the time great players are being recognized more when they retire. And I think that's kind of what happened with Mbappe when, you know, he was playing for Paris. Like he was criticized a lot, but then we left him, and you know that the League One in France is not the same with or without Mbappe, and I think that will happen to him. And I believe we've never had a player coming from very young age, like doing the things that he's done already. He's one of the World Cup. He scored so many goals. And so I think he will be number one on the list for sure, but that will probably happen at the end of his career.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
And it's Wednesday morning here in New York. We're just coming up to 9:20 in the morning. New Yorkers off to work. It's a phenomenal sight, I can assure you of that. We're live, of course, back in the UK, 2:20 in the afternoon with you, and it all starts tonight, live in talkSPORT, 9 o'clock UK time. England up against Croatia. Now, you can watch the games live in the pub and grill at your local village hotel. Find your nearest at villagehotels.com. Plus, for a chance to win a Village Hotel VIP experience for the World Cup final at a Village Hotel near you, head to talksport.com/competitions. Simon and I on the 50th floor of the World Trade Centre. We've been joined by former England, Manchester United, Watford, West Brom and England goalkeeper Ben Foster is with us here in New York. And Ben, many people get in touch with me to say, how has he done it? He's hit the ground running over there, has he not? Ben Foster joining us just in the last 10 or 15 minutes and really up for it tonight, as every England fan is, for this game against Croatia. Your specialised subject, Mr. Foster, goalkeeping. Jordan Pickford, is he still underrated by the wider public?
I don't think so. No, I think he's perfect for what he is. He's.
What is he?
I think he's happy in a space and an age where he knows exactly what he's doing. He doesn't try and make work for himself. He knows exactly how to command his players in front of him, and it must be a love place to be. I only found it probably later on in my career, but he's been there for years now. Solid, dependable. I know exactly what I'm going to get from him. He's been a brilliant goalkeeper for England. That's one position in particular I definitely would never worry about.
I mean, where does he rank, Ben, to you amongst England goalkeepers of the past?
Yeah, I still think, even me growing up, you know, I used to watch the likes of Shilton. I remember sort of Italian 90 and maybe just before that, before my era with Clements and Banks. But the goalkeepers of my era, my generation, I think Jordan is without doubt the best England goalkeeper we've seen. Whether he's the best technically, whether he's the best actual goalkeeper is a different question. But for England, he's the best England goalkeeper I've seen.
I remember Graham Souness on with you and I back in the news building at London Bridge, and we were talking about Pickford. And I can't remember his exact words, Simon, but it was along the lines of, there's a moment you worry. Is a bomb waiting to go off now and again?
Yeah, he did say that, but he has an audacity because he played in front of Alan Ruff, didn't he? Look, I mean, he's a good goalkeeper. He's a good goalkeeper. I grew up in the same sort of period of watching Ray Clements and Peter Shilton alternate. We had an embarrassment of riches in the 70s, whether it be Phil Parkes or Joe Corrigan or Mervyn Day or other great goalkeepers around at the time. We lost our way to some extent of being the world leaders in goalkeeping when there was always Dino Zoff and obviously Lev Yashin and old goalkeepers from the past. But I think Pickford's a good goalkeeper. But the unfortunate thing about society is that the moment people decide that you fit into a category, you never break out of that category.
Right, yeah.
So once upon a time, Jordan Pickford might have been a bit volatile, in the same way that Joe Hart was volatile, and people made an observation about Joe, and he never managed to escape that situation. You know, in terms of he was volatile, he was over-emotive, overcharged, and that accusation stays with people. So if you do something in life and people are able to categorise you, then they never move you on. Pickford is a good goalkeeper. He kept Everton in the division a couple of seasons ago. I don't see an argument for other goalkeepers to have taken his place. I mean, Dean Henderson's been great this season, great for Palace, and there are other goalkeepers in the mix that are equally as compelling. But I still think, to go to Ben's point, where there's more expertise than me, he's the best goalkeeper we've got at this moment in time.
Just before we move on, I always want to know this, Ben. Do you guys as goalkeepers go into a match with a different mindset to the other 10 that are taken to the pitch?
I don't know. We only know our mindset, don't we?
I mean, how are you going to play compared to how are you going to keep goal?
No,
do you know what I mean?
Jordan, he can't get too weighed down and worried about what the other players are going to do or where they might be. It's always a little bit nervy when you've got a young defender in front of you. So, for example, if Nico O'Reilly plays tonight, he'll have his wits about him. He'll know that he has to look after him a little bit more, give him a little bit more cajoling, just get him through the game a little bit more. It's a big occasion for him. But everybody else, they're all experienced Premier League players. So Jordan can just focus on what he needs to do, and it's as simple as that.
Another Jordan Henderson, 36 today. Many people say, yeah, Henderson, why has he been included? Well, he's a bit of a cheerleader when it comes to being in the squad. Is he more than that?
Yeah, for sure.
You shared a dressing room with him.
Yeah, he's a great lad. Again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, there's not many of those players who say it how it is nowadays. You had Troy Deeney in the other day, exactly like that. Troy Deeney, oh my gosh. if it's black, it's black. It's as simple as that. He would call it as he sees it. And I think Jordan Henderson is that guy. You still need to have him around where you'll see people just sort of pushing the limits a little bit, getting a little bit sloppy, leave stuff lying around the training ground. You need a Jordan Henderson around the place to pull everybody. No. And it's not nice to be the bad guy sometimes, but you've got to have him around. You have.
So he's important. He's more than a cheerleader.
Much more than a cheerleader. I think
Much
there's a
more
couple.
than that. Because I've seen some unkind comments about why is Henderson in there.
Yeah.
You're telling us exactly why he's in there.
It'd be like when you go away for work, yeah? You've got like group of what, 10, 12 of you?
You see them all there.
Yeah,
you see them there, Ben.
You'll have like a little bit of an alpha male. Somebody.
But they're a hindrance.
But you need a little bit of an alpha, somebody that's not afraid. Is it this guy? Probably is this guy. Not afraid of being the bad guy sometimes. You've got to have that. And I think as young men, which they are, you need to be afraid of people sometimes.
But isn't this I was having this conversation the other day with John Terry, isn't it? And he's in the same space as you, because you're all bloody mates together and protect one another's interests. What other nation is having to have a peace envoy in their dressing room? You know, you don't hear about the Argentinians or the French or the Spanish that are trying to win a World Cup saying, well, we brought this guy along because he's good in the dressing room. Why is it something...
You don't know that.
Yeah, I don't know that either. It might be.
Are you seeing any of that? Are you seeing any backstories? And of course, I mean, you spend your time deep immersed in what's happening in other teams besides Scotland. And so, as a result of it, I don't see the narrative being spelt out that players are being picked for France or for Spain because they happen to have been good in the dressing room.
He's not been picked for that.
OK, all right, Brazil.
Well, Adam Walton should be in the... Come off it.
Brazil have taken Neymar, OK? Neymar hasn't really been fit for the best part of a year.
Yeah, but that's not because he's good in the... Oh, you tell me Neymar's good in the dressing room?
Yeah, apparently he's incredible in the dressing room. Apparently Neymar is like, it's like the father figure for them guys, OK?
OK.
That's why Brazil...
Well done, Ben.
João Pedro's at home.
I think he's reverse
He's probably on holiday having a lovely time, all right? And Neymar's been given this role because he's a bit more senior and the lads look up to him. I promise you.
I thought it was because a leading political figure had leant down on the Brazilians.
That might have something to do with it.
You wanted a Henderson equivalent. Ben has served up Neymar. So
oh, you're happy now because you had nothing to say. You were goldfishing for a moment,
that's
right?
That's put your gas in a peat, as we say in Scotland. Who was a similar Henderson figure in your time?
Oh, we had loads of them. We didn't need an individual figure. We didn't need to take a sightseer or a cheerleader, as you call it. We had them littered all over the place. When I first got into the England team, it was that golden generation of Rio and John Terry and Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard and just characters. Not only personalities, but characters, real men who, if somebody got out of line, they didn't care. They would point it out there and then. They'd make an example of you, and everybody knew where they stood then. So we didn't need to worry about taking individuals.
Well, wasn't that also an era that we've spent a lot of time hearing about, where there were factions? Wasn't this an era that we've all been waxing lyrical about how wonderful Gareth did to bring that divide back into it? So wasn't that a challenging landscape? I know John well, so I know that he would have been a front and centre person in terms of demanding standards from people. But aren't you then in a situation where there were other challenges that were involved along the lines of the Liverpool players wouldn't sit with the Man United players and all that load of old fanny wit to listen to?
This is why I think Gareth Southgate was so good at getting us to finals, though, because he has to navigate all of that. He has to navigate a group of men that might be divided, might have fractions and sit on separate tables, and he's got to try and find a way of them working harmoniously, whether even it's just to the media.
Yeah.
But I got the impression that he did that behind the scenes as well. And he brought a team together.
Sure.
And that's why I think he did such a fantastic job to get us to those finals by bringing the players together.
You shut him up with Neymar, and I enjoyed that moment. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Ben Foster, and we are live on talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation here in New York. Another day begins, and England start tonight against Croatia. First stop, Toolstation. Donald Trump has been given license to join the World Cup winners in their trophy lift, just as he did, as you remember, at the Club World Cup. The US president has already been told by FIFA, we want you, President Trump, to hand over the trophy to the eventual champions. I mean, I wonder, what does that look like as far as you're concerned? Is it right and proper that Trump, of all people, should be right in the middle of it all come the trophy lift?
I think it would be hugely popular if England were to win the trophy, if Trump wrestled the World Cup off Harry Kane and began to do a little conga. I think everyone in Britain would share my view that that would be absolutely magnificent. No, I think it's got the potential to be quite embarrassing, but I think that Trump is quite savvy about the reaction to what happened with the World Club Championship. If he's not, his son Barron is, because his son Barron loves football, loves our football. He's actually an Arsenal fan. And I think he will probably have a quiet word with the old man and say, look, Dad, it should you get the trophy anywhere near you, don't try and grab it.
Well, as you know, Simon, who's right beside me here, always says politicians should stay out of football. So, Simon, why should they make an exception for the president?
Because you have to manage this man. Whether you disagree with his principles or you agree with them, it's kind of irrelevant. In my ideal world, would have politicians nowhere near sports. So when the German politicians yesterday were saying they weren't going to come because they disagree with certain aspects of Trump's outlook, I said, hallelujah, more of that. The situation with Trump has a relatively unique feel about it because Trump is such an omnipotent character that it does add to the argument. But if I had my ideal world, I would be saying, Trump nowhere near it. In terms of being on the pitch, dealing with the trophy, that's someone else's responsibility, and it steers into the narrative that I always underpin my arguments with. Keep these politicians away from leveraging sports, whoever it may be. So I can't have it both ways. I can't say, well, you know, I've got no problem with Trump, full stop. I recognise the fact that he's probably the most powerful man in the world, and he is, to some extent, omnipotent.
Thomas Tuchel's urging England to be brave tonight. He's told talkSPORT the last 2 weeks have been among the most enjoyable of his career.
I'm very excited to take the step into the tournament. It builds up, but at the same time I'm very calm because I know what I see the players on a daily level, and I feel their energy, and I feel that it's exactly right.
England v Croatia is live on talkSPORT with all the build-up from 7. Real Madrid have confirmed the signing of free agent Bernardo Silva on a 2-year contract. The former Man City midfielder plays for Portugal against DR Congo today. That's live on talkSPORT 2 from 6 p.m. Lionel Messi says he's surpassed even his wildest boyhood dreams with Argentina. A hat-trick against Algeria means he's the World Cup's joint leading scorer of all time. Kylian Mbappe is only 2 away after getting 2 in France's win over Senegal. But the Premier League Golden Boot winner Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank doesn't think Mbappe is close to Messi's level.
If you see his first half, he was horrendous. He was poor.
Yeah.
I've never seen Messi like that. You know, Messi doesn't have those kind of games.
And Rangers have confirmed the departure of Danny Röhl as head coach. He's off to RB Salzburg. We understand Derek McInnes is one of those who could take over at Ibrox. Get more at talksport.com.
Back in the UK, it is 9:30 here in New York City. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, Ben Foster here in studio on the 50th floor of the World Trade Center. Of course, you often talk about footballers having no fear when they go into a big game tonight. England will have no fear. Why would they? Going in against Croatia. We have just seen the most fearless employee anywhere in New York City, the window cleaner who is outside there. He's dangling from that wire. I don't know if you can see it. We're 50 floors up, and somewhere out there, a man has just passed by in a big kind of trolley-type device he's standing in, cleaning the windows here in the World Trade Center.
I can trump that story.
You can trump that.
Yes.
So I love what you did.
Do you like the pun?
Yes.
I was in Dubai years and years ago. There's a hotel called the
Is this going to be interesting?
No, it is interesting.
All right.
There's a hotel called the Barj Al Arab, which is a 7-star hotel. And there's a guy that cleans the atrium. It's about 30, 40 floors up. And he sits in steel boots that are magnetised, upside down.
Oh, gosh.
Facing down, dusting the top of the hotel. And you're looking at him about 300 feet up. He's upside down in a pair of diving boots that are magnetised, hanging from the ceiling, dusting. I'm like...
Ben,
not for
steel boots that are magnetised.
Telling you.
I mean, really? Why did you have to top what he's doing?
We don't all stay in the village hotels like you. Some of us stay in the 7-star hotels.
Let's catch up on what's going on in the cricket back home. It is the second test at the Oval. It's England, New Zealand. Here's Sam.
England have struck early after lunch. New Zealand 79 for 3. Nicholls gone for 27. Tongue the bowler on the shorter side, just outside off. Nicholls doesn't move his feet at all. The poor shot just dangles his bat outside off stump. The ball cannons off the inside edge to go onto the stumps, and one of the set batters is now back in the shed. Nicholls goes for 27. Rachin Ravindra unbeaten on 14, and the new batter out the crease is Daryl Mitchell. New Zealand, just after lunch on day one of the second test match of the Oval, are now 81 for 3.
Sam, thank you very much indeed. Former England Watford goalkeeper, Manchester United goalkeeper Ben Foster is in the studio. Spare a thought for Ben this morning, because when you sit with Simon, you do not get a break, even in commercial breaks. He's right in your right ear, Ben. I've been watching it.
He's chewing the life out of me. A minute ago, he just showed me his phone. Daniel Levy's texting him out.
Oh, shut up. That's indiscreet. Really? That's indiscreet.
Oh, I love it. No, you asked for that.
No, I didn't.
I watched you do it. Ben, look at this.
No, I didn't. Yeah. I was showing him a fact about the Brighton deal and how Brighton have pulled Spurs' pants down on a player that was out of contract in a year's time, that didn't want to sign a new contract. And there's the 5th most expensive, soon-to-be non-contract player that has ever been signed. So that's what Daniel was pointing out to some extent.
Fair enough. It's entertaining sitting beside him.
It's lovely, that, yeah. Look, he's still he's texting whilst he's talking. He's a man of many skills.
I know. Incredible. I know. Juggling on a unicycle. Ben, here's the thing. Harry Maguire, he's been talking about the disappointment, as far as he's concerned, of not making the England squad. I wanted to go, not just play. I wasn't demanding to go and start games. I'd have been happy to play 1 minute as long as I was there with the lads. Well, there's a bit more to it than that. But having said that, do you think he should be here?
Yeah, I do. I think he should have been. I went to the Japan game a couple of months ago. It was at Wembley. I think we lost 1-0, didn't we? And really poor game. It was a really flat game. Didn't really mean anything. But the only time we looked like scoring is when we brought Harry Maguire on for, I think it was the last 15 minutes or something like that. I think we had 3 corners into the box. He got on the end of every single one of them.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this is such a, what the kids would say, cheat code nowadays. A massive opportunity to score out of nothing. We've seen a lot of set-piece goals, corners, free kicks already scored in this tournament. And I just think, for somebody that you can bring on, if I'm a goalkeeper and I see Harry Maguire coming on, I know what's going to happen. I know what's happening. They're going to change their style of play. They're going to be putting the balls in the box on top of his head. But it causes a problem for you and something to think about.
I mean, there's been speculation that maybe there are some players here who shouldn't be here, maybe others who should, of course. But that's always the case, is it not? You can only bring so many.
Well, obviously, Tino Livramento went home yesterday with an injury, didn't we? And the call-up is Trevor Chalobah. And I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute, we just sent a right-back home. Is there a world-class right-back somewhere in our sort of nation, somewhere that we could call up Trent Alexander-Arnold? But then you get into the logistics of why, and you wonder why you have... And Trevor Chalobah would have been told to be available and to wait. But Trent, you know for a fact he wouldn't have been happy with being left out, and he'd have said, right, listen, well, that's it. And Thomas Tuchel would have thought, listen, I'm not going to call you in. It would be too divisive. We can't touch that, so Trevor Chalobah is the obvious choice.
I think but players are bound to be disappointed, Simon.
Well, that's life.
Some make it, some don't. That's a fact
But that's
of
life, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the facts of life. You're going to have when you step out of the institutionalised bubble and protected environment of football, you're going to have far more disappointments in the real world than you ever did in football, because it's not going to give you and afford you all the courtesies that you've been given as a footballer with your backside being wiped for you on a daily basis.
But see, I like it though. I agree. This is the world I grew up in. I would hold myself accountable, and I used to have to say to myself, I'm a goalkeeper, it's me, I'm by myself. Sometimes I can't rely on the team. I have to be accountable. Players are not accountable anymore. They're not. They're always looking for an excuse.
It's a bit of an image, but when you played, did you have your backside wiped for you by someone else?
Definitely not. I would take full control of myself. I have my own business. I will look after myself really, really well. But I'd see everybody else, especially this new crop of players coming through, and I used to think, oh my gosh, you've got no chance. It's like being mollycoddled as a kid. If your mum and dad always do everything for you, you'll always need them to do that for you.
This is music to his ears, you realise
Yeah, no, I love listening to it.
But there's also, I think, as well, there's a unique mindset amongst goalkeepers because they are a very different breed. They have to hold themselves together mentally in certain aspects. And I think goalkeepers are much undervalued. If you look back in the annals of time, why did Nottingham Forest become such a dominant force for a couple of years? Because they signed Peter Shilton as a component part of it. Goalkeepers have never attracted the transfer fees that strikers have attracted, and it's always made me curious because goalkeepers can win you leagues. Yeah. And now you see this next evolution that goalkeepers can play with the ball at their feet, which is a remarkable transition. Sure. But all things being equal, I think it is a culture that creates weakness in people. And Harry Maguire has not been picked by a manager that makes a decision. And we can't, on one hand, say this manager is an elite manager. On the other hand, go, well, why don't we micromanage what he does? Yeah, he's either good or he's not.
Another feature of this World Cup, Ben, here in the US, hydration breaks. Actually, yesterday, I sympathised with the players yesterday. It was boiling hot with France-Senegal. And it seemed to me that the players welcomed the hydration breaks. Funnily enough, Tuchel has been talking about this, and he says, hydration breaks, will they change the character of a game? This is Thomas Tuchel.
I think it changes the character of each half quite significantly because it gives you the chance to regroup, gives you the chance to change and to reset. Of course, we will use them as hydration breaks. We will use them as an opportunity to cool the players down mentally and also physically, which is not needed tomorrow, but when we play outdoors and it's hot. So these are the main targets, and then of course gives the coach the opportunity to have some individual or group messages or team messages, and we will do that.
Ben, I mean, Mauricio Pochettino of the US, I don't like them. I only like it when the conditions are extreme, but when the conditions are good, it's unnecessary.
I think Simon just muttered, I don't know if you heard it, but he said, prepare for them then. And he's right. If you prepare for them, you can break the game down now into 4 quarters. So you can say, right, first quarter we're doing this, second quarter we're doing that. I liken them a bit to a bad VAR decision or where it takes 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Them ones, though, you can't prepare for. Them ones really can change the state of play where a goal gets given or disallowed and it really does take away or give to one of the other teams. With this, if you can use it to your advantage by preparing for it, I don't see a problem with it, but I don't like watching it. I hate it, in fact.
Everything that changes things always creates a resistance in people's minds, and often the changes are more for the benefit of the game. We constantly complain about a summer tournament producing outcomes where players are fatigued and jaded. So anything that would... we know that there's an element of commercialisation, so all this moral affront about how it's being monetised. I mean, you buggers take all the money out of the game. What are you complaining about? So the fact there's more money coming into the game and we're putting commercials in its space, stop with the confected outrage. But if you look at it and go, yeah, we know it's commercialised, but we also know that there's a material advantage. And if you have one game, you know it, you can hear it in people. The moment one game has breaks and the other one doesn't, people will be saying, well, teams that have breaks, irrespective of whether the climate is perfect or not perfect, have a material advantage because they get to be able to speak to their manager, they get to be able to have some rehydration, irrespective of how hot it isn't. Yeah. So you've got to keep a same landscape. I think there's an argument to be saying, if you're taking players into a tournament after a very busy season, anything that enhances players' opportunity to be able to be physiologically in the best condition must be something that we embrace to some extent, because we are constantly complaining about jaded players going into bloody tournaments.
Ben, he's right. I mean, it's about the well-being of players. De La Fuente of Spain, I'm always interested in the health of my players. It's the right measure. A pause, freshen up, and then get back to it. See, I think he's right. It's even worse in Mexico, surely.
As long as everybody knows what it is and everyone's on the same page, it is what it is. So prepare for it, exactly that. You can use this to your advantage. You really could. If you can break the game down into 4 quarters and go, right, we're going to do things differently. This is when we'll bring subs. I even think we'll start to see some patterns as well emerging from, there'll be a certain amount of 5 minutes, like, you know, Jurgen Klopp's old sort of Gegenpress. Teams doing that for the 5 minutes afterwards, and then maybe thinking of bringing a sub on.
Incidentally, I don't know what you're talking about. Every break we go into, can I have some water? Can I have a coffee? Can I have come out? Everyone!
Clicking.
He's
clicking all over.
You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan, who welcomes a hydration break anytime he can, and Ben Foster. We're live in talkSPORT in partnership with Toolstation. First up, Toolstation. Iran played out a 2-2 draw with New Zealand, the lowest ranked team in the competition. But that's not the whole story. Post-match, the Iranian manager, Amir Galonoi, claimed that his side were the most oppressed at this World Cup, Simon, and I think he's got a point, revealing they were thrown out of the US immediately after the game. They weren't even able to undertake a recovery session. And they were told, get on your way, and headed back to Tijuana, Mexico, their training base, a day before they had intended to.
Okay.
The manager says afterwards, it seems like others are doing the planning for us. That's a hint at the US here, with decisions made elsewhere. Our team is the most oppressed in this World Cup. The federation is absent here. They don't even have their own federation here.
Yes, listen, it's not ideal. But should that have affected the outcome in this game? I mean, yes, if they're playing a world-beating side or a side that's on an equal par with them, you can say that's a really unfair set of circumstances.
Oh, Simon, if they're playing anybody.
No, but let's have it right. In their favour is the fact they've got better players. So maybe the odds were slightly evened up a little bit. But as we saw with Troy talking about it yesterday, players staying in a different hotel in a different environment. Yes, the warm-down thing and those sort of things are not ideal. I understand that it's not ideal. But as we discussed yesterday, this is going to be the built-in excuse if they have a bad result.
Oh, come on. It's not fair, Simon. Never mind ideal. It's not fair in them.
It's not equitable.
No one else is getting treated like this.
It's not equitable. I hear you, right? And we know the reasons why, and whether we agree with them or not is a different discussion, right? But the bottom line is should they have been able to overcome New Zealand with all of that disadvantage?
But that's not the point.
Well, it is.
It's not equitable. It's not fair on them.
It is. Well, some could say that the quality of Iranian player and New Zealand having to play against a far better player is not equitable for New Zealand, because New Zealand are far less capable of producing a side that's capable of performing against other sides.
Simon, the Iranian media is...
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
World Cup Game Day Sports Bar preview on talkSPORT. Brought to you by Burger King Burger Buddies. Total tournament satisfaction delivered by the experts. Order now on the BK app.
Time to look ahead to tonight's Sports Bar special with Burger King. This evening live over on talkSPORT's YouTube channel. Cundy and O'Hara will be presenting a Sports Bar special, and alongside them, they'll be joined by a special guest. We'll be revealing who that is later on in World Cup Game Day from 4. Here's who they both want to join them tonight.
Yeah, tonight, me, Cundy, Burger King, they've allowed us to pick a third wheel to join the Sports Bar special. The options they give is Arsenal fan Alex Brooker and United fan Flex. So, of course, I'm not picking a gooner, so I'm hoping they give us Flex. We'll see what happens.
Rice trying to flick it on. Gay, he can. Oh, it's in! Unbelievable! A Jude Bellingham overhead kick.
We need a third body there, Burger King Burger Buddies. And Alex, here's my fear. England don't win. I need cheering up. That's why I want Alex Brooker there.
Yeah.
And he's a funny boy. I know he's a gooner, but we've all parked that now, right? All of our club football is put to one side.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? We're now one big happy family. Spurs fans, Arsenal fans, Man United fans,
PSG fans. No,
PSG fans.
Not PSG fans. No.
Everyone now, so we're all singing from the same song sheet, so I don't care who Alex supports.
Okay, don't forget to tune in from 4 today. We will reveal who is joining the guys. Who's brave enough? I asked the question on Sports Bar Special tonight, and it's all thanks.
Who's intellectually challenged enough. Do you remember Zig and Zag off Big Breakfast? Those two remind me of Zig and Zag off Big Breakfast. It's like an episode of Sesame Street.
I was doing what they call in the trade a sponsored read.
Oh, go on then, sorry.
And we'll reveal who's joining the guys tonight in the Sports Bar Special, all thanks to Burger King.
World Cup Game Day Sports Bar preview on talkSPORT. Brought to you by Burger King Burger Buddies. Total tournament satisfaction delivered by the experts. Order now on the BK app.
I'm glad Ben Foster is in studio on the 50th floor of the World Trade Center because, Ben, you're witnessing what I experience every day. He is uncontrollable at times. Ben, here's the thing. Before you leave us, and I want to get into this, we chatted about this in the commercial break just moments ago. You essentially, Ben, revolutionised football media by putting a GoPro in the back of the net and filming inside the training ground, but at matches as well. That landed you in a bit of hot water, didn't it?
It did. I remember coming on talkSPORT at the time, actually, and just trying to explain how things... Simon actually knew probably more than most, and he was trying to really pick the bones that he was and get... So how much money are you making, I think, was one of the questions. And I had to sort of play it down a little bit. But it did. It got me in some hot water. We had to agree a deal with the EFL and Sky Sports to carry it on going. We then got promoted at the end of that season to the Premier League, and as soon as you get into the big boys with the big broadcasters, Amazon and your Skies, it was very much, don't you even think about it. Don't you even think about it.
We said yesterday that Manchester United, under Michael Carrick, are opening the doors. It's a warts and all documentary, the story of the upcoming season. That makes me think, Ben, of Welcome to Wrexham when you were there, the Welcome to Wrexham TV series. What impact did that have at the time on the players at the club? Did everybody wholesale want to get involved in that?
I got there about a year and a half into it, so they'd already had the first season where they failed in the playoff semi-final, I think it was. So I got there a year and a half in, and I'll be deadly honest with you, they didn't pay any attention to the cameras. I didn't get the impression that people were playing up in the changing rooms, because you'd have people getting changed, people walking around.
Yeah.
The changing room felt the same. People would get at people if they needed to. They would be open and honest. I didn't feel they were ever playing a role, and it was all absolutely organic. The owners were absolutely fantastic. They're just normal blokes, genuinely. I know they're millionaires, nearly billionaires, whatever it is, but they're normal blokes, and I get the impression that they really cared about the football club.
You see, I'm really pleased to hear that, because you think a lot of the time the players, managers are playing to the cameras. The fact that the cameras are there, they don't say what they might say.
Yeah, but hold on, right? Comparing Wrexham to the insights at Tottenham Hotspur or Manchester United or global football clubs is a very different animal. And Wrexham were on a journey of awareness. The entire opportunity to monetize their proposition was predicated upon two Hollywood stars that understood the value of utilising their image to create an outcome. Now, Manchester United is a worldwide global brand that doesn't need that.
So why are they doing it?
Because there's money available to it. So
exactly.
and they will control, what is shown. Wrexham didn't care about controlling what was shown to some extent. So with due respect to the argument that you're trying to advance, it's a straw man argument because they're different animals, completely different beasts. Wrexham were coming out of non-league football into League Two, into League One on their journey. Let's see if Wrexham establish themselves in the Premier League and are conscious about their brand around the world. And if it ever comes to that stage, I doubt it will. I think they'll get to the Premier League at some point, but they'll never become a Manchester United
Well, Ben, as we were saying yesterday, United are set to receive 10 million quid. They've agreed a deal with Amazon Prime to document Carrick's inaugural season in charge as head coach. If you're Michael Carrick, do you necessarily want that?
I agree with Simon to the point where I think it will just be tailored to whatever they want it to be. It'll be like a film script. They'll have roles to play. You won't be seeing the warts and all. I can guarantee you that the cutting room floor will be full of bits that they need to take out. They have to take out.
I don't know if anyone can cut up what Simon is doing at the moment, looking at me in a very strange way, like, there you are, Ben's my new best friend.
No, I'm just saying that it's helpful on your journey of education to understand things as they really are, rather than the world that you wish to portray, which is that they won't be showing this stuff because there's no benefit to Manchester United. 10 million quid is lovely. It's 1.6% of their turnover. Whoop-de-doo-dah, right? It gives them what? It gives them one player's wages for a year, at the very least. But it creates an opportunity for them to show a window in a way that sports now is such an entertainment product. There's no argument. The merging, the blurring of the lines is clear. You know, you're looking at sports changing in front of your eyes to being something completely different to what it was before. It is no longer the precinct of the working man that was emotively invested in his football club. It's an entertainment business where owners determine what happens with players, what happens with managers and what they want their football club to be and why they own it.
This is a bit of a déjà vu moment, Ben, for me, because I've said it in the past and I'll say it again. Watford have a new head coach. How about that? They've appointed Alessio Dionisi as head coach. It's a 2-year deal. The Pozzo's 24th manager of their reign. Dionisi is his name, Alessio Dionisi. I don't know the fella, but they've got a new guy on the block. Nothing changes at Watford, does it?
Nothing changes. I think whilst they have the owners that they have, they'll always run it the way that they run it. If they're winning, it's great and it goes nicely and everything settles down. But the second they get 4 or 5 bad results in a row, you're never far from that itchy finger getting pulled again, because that's just the way that they work. They do. In my time there, I was 4 years from 2018, and I think I saw 10 managers in my 4 years. And it's just the way that it goes. If it's going well, it's fantastic. There's harmony. The second you run into a bit of turbulence, oh my gosh, it's like the world has ended.
And you think, well, if that's the way they do it, that's the way they do it, Simon?
No, I don't think it's ideal, but I've never subscribed to the orthodoxy that's been put in place, which is stability is giving people that are failing an opportunity to continue to fail. I think if you are going to fail in life at anything, fail fast, because it gets you out of the way of making decisions that keep you in a space for a longer period of time. Now, it'll be interesting to see, because I think Watford's up for sale, how long these owners stay in place, because I think they've got itchy feet themselves. I think there's been a long time of their ownership. I quite like them, but I don't agree with the premise of X, Y, Z. And I don't care how many managers people want to throw that I had. Right? They weren't.
How many did you have?
7 or 8.
All right.
Average of a year and a half. More than enough time for people to change the direction of travel.
Ben, before you leave us, and Ben is about to leave us here at the World Trade Centre, tonight, in a sentence, what do you want to see from England?
A nice bit of attacking football, a bit of off the shackles, not worrying that it's the first game and just find yourself into the game. I want to see them going for it from the get-go, really try and blow Croatia away. We're man for man, we're better than Croatia, so let's just show it by going out there and imposing ourselves on them.
Do you think we might see a bit of a crazy scoreline? Do you think England might run out 4-1-5-1?
No, I don't think you'll ever see England run out on a crazy scoreline early doors in a tournament. I think we'll just find our way through it. We went to the Euros a couple of years ago and it was like pulling teeth for the first 3 or 4 games. I get the impression we might see something similar to that as well.
OK, live on talkSPORT, of course, England against Croatia tonight. I'm just getting a text message from the guys in security down at reception here at the World Trade Centre. When's that guy Foster coming back for his bike?
As long as it's safe. As long as it's safe, I don't care. I'll come and get it in a minute. Don't worry, lads.
Ben, thanks for being with us. We're coming up to 3 o'clock back in the UK, 10 o'clock here in New York, and we're live on talkSPORT.
The big result yesterday came, of course, with Spain being held to a 0-0 draw against debutants Cape Verde. I don't know if you're aware of it. The Spanish captain Rodri criticised their defensive approach to the game. Rodri. He said, "This is what he said. He said that's how they play. They don't get past midfield. It's a matter of improving our finishing."
I think it's arrogant.
Tell me.
Don't expect Cape Verde to get the position of the ball and to create many occasions against Spain. Spain is one of the best teams in the world. So the way he said that, I think this is disrespectful for Cape Verde. And I think you should look at yourself in the mirror because you should have done better than that to win that game. You had some occasion to score, you didn't. And I think you have to put credit on the Cape Verde players because I think they defended like lions on the pitch.
Let's not forget as well, Spain had 27 shots, 7 shots on target. Ferran Torres has got to score that one way it's the bar. Sometimes you've got to look at yourself, not at the opposition, are you? Look at, we don't want to go back to Arsenal.
Frustrations.
If Arsenal went open against PSG, we've seen what happened in the Bayern Munich game. You have to play to your strengths. And Cape Verde, like you says, defended like lions. The goalkeeper was outstanding.
You know, if you don't like their style of play, it's up to you to do enough, you know, to win that game. I mean, I don't like those criticisms, you know, when you meet opponents that are not at the same level. And at the end, you share the points and you think, they were too defensive. And
He's done that before, Rodri.
Yeah.
It's Scotland that he did it.
Exactly.
The same thing,
So I don't like it at all.
Do you think we're going to see a lot more of that in this World Cup with the so-called bigger teams being held against the small ones? We saw it in Brazil and Morocco, right? Of
course.
Do you think it's a case of you would have played against one of the greatest Brazil sides of all time? Do you think it's a case of the bigger teams aren't as big as they used to be and the gap is much smaller now and maybe the smaller teams have worked them out a bit?
The gap is not the same that it used to be before. So they have to realize that even...
Sport.
I'm Ben Fletcher. Good afternoon. 6 hours to go till kick-off, and Harry Kane's told talkSPORT England have come on a long way since that World Cup heartbreak at the hands of Croatia back in 2018.
You look at the squad now and the level all of us are playing at, the finals we're playing in, both England and obviously club football. I think we're a different team to what we was then.
Some say England's opponents tonight are past it, with Modric now in his 40s and Perisic not far behind him. Croatian football journalist Juraj Vidoljak has told us they're not the only ones with a point to prove.
It isn't the question of whether they are still fit to lead this team, but in literal sense of the word, are they fit? It seems that Kovacic is the biggest question mark currently. He's still not fit. The pre-World Cup friendlies show that he's not really fit.
Build up to our live commentary from Dallas gets underway at 6, kickoffs at 9 here on talkSPORT. Before that, Real Madrid's new signing will line up for Portugal against DR Congo over on talkSPORT 2. Former City midfielder Bernardo Silva has agreed a 2-year deal. Confirmation from Rangers that Danny Roll has left the club for RB Salzburg, that by mutual agreement. Derek McInnes set to replace him at Ibrox. England's bowlers are looking for more inroads after lunch on day 1, watching the second test for talkSPORT. Good afternoon, Sam Ellard.
New Zealand 107 for 3. A couple of chances though for England. Mitchell dropped on 2. A 4-ball from Fisher, straying onto the pads. Mitchell glancing it to Jordan Cox, a leg slip. He gets down low to his left, but he drops it. Another half chance in the over after that. Tongue to Ravinja, short and wide, and there is the wicket. Sonny Baker on Test match debut has got his first wicket for England in the Test match arena. It's short, it's wide. Rachin Ravindra plays with the ball, gets the edge, it goes to gully, and what a moment for Sonny Baker. A Test match wicket to his name, and New Zealand 107 for 4.
How'd you like that for timing? There's plenty more on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel, and the Prince of Wales Stakes is the feature race at Royal Ascot on day 2. A field of 8 will battle it out for the historic £1 million prize pot. You can hear the whole thing at 4:10 over on talkSPORT 2.
talkSPORT News.
The Tories claim the government is on life support as more pressure is put on the Prime Minister to stand down, and some killers could avoid automatic life sentences under plans to shake up murder laws. More with Emma at past.
talkSPORT weather with Quick Fit. Sort your new tyres this summer at a time that suits you best from the comfort of your home or work 7 days a week with our mobile tyre fitting service. Conditions apply.
Brightening up with warm sunshine in the southeast, particularly wetter spells in the north and the west.
Good afternoon, everybody back in the UK. It's 6 minutes past 3 o'clock where you are. For us, it's 6 minutes past 10 o'clock in the morning, and we are in New York. Another day at the World Cup finals here in the United States of America. We are live on talkSPORT, and we are live everywhere you want to watch us. Live on YouTube, live on Prime Video, Samsung TV, Roku, Rakuten, as well as YouTube, as I say. Wherever you want to watch it, you can watch it. And Simon and I are realising that is very much the case out here. Everywhere we go, we're bumping into people who enjoy White and Jordan. And I have to say, it's extremely humbling, and long may it continue as we head into Wednesday, a big day. England-Croatia is on the way. Yesterday, it was a big day, of course, as well, because we saw for the first time what the French may or may not do at these World Cup finals. They were up against Senegal at the MetLife over in New Jersey, not far from here, and the French won it by 3-1. I was there, and so too was Guardian journalist and African broadcaster Osasu Obeyuwana, who joins us here in studio in the 50th floor of the World Trade Center. Osasu, good to see you. Did I hear right just before we came to you here? Simon saying, well, Osasu, you've warmed to Jim, but you haven't exactly warmed to me. What was all that about? What was going on there?
You should ask him, shouldn't you?
Do you feel Osasu hasn't warmed to you?
Well, like when I hear stories of you being offered nice pairs of trousers from Osasu and nothing's been offered my way, I take great offence at it. And you've been banging on about these trousers, bragging about your new mate over here.
Yes.
He's giving you a pair of trousers. He comes in the studio, glares at me, and doesn't even mention a pair of strides for me. So what do you expect?
Well, we'll see. We'll see how well you behave, and then we can consider.
Thank you.
That's very kind of you, Osasu. If you can bring in a couple of pairs, then that will shut him up. Osasu wears... his tailor produces some extremely loud, you might say, but extremely fancy trousers. And he's wearing a pair today, not that you can see them, this lunchtime back home or this afternoon back home in the UK. What did you make of it? France 3, Senegal 1. Were you disappointed in Senegal?
Yes, because they got the game tactics right in the first half. Unfortunately, they didn't have the stamina to maintain it. And when you're playing against arguably the best attacking line in the world, you can have a little sympathy with that, because the amount of pressure that was put on Senegal through the game was tremendous. And you've got people like Mbappe, Dembele, Olise. Oh, you are going to be working your back off.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
It was a tough afternoon for them.
It just reminds me of the Champions League final between Arsenal and PSG.
Yes, yes, indeed. I felt for the Senegalese players because they were in the game for long periods of time, and then the French simply cranked it up, and they couldn't live with them.
No, but like I said, any team in the world that plays against France,
yeah,
if you don't have the same...
Don't be distracted by this, incidentally. For everybody back home, this is Finn, who's joining our set. A slight technical issue with Osasu's microphone.
I thought he was taking Osasu's trousers off and giving them to me.
Osasu is keeping his trousers on. We're miking up.
We're broadcasting. I don't want to use some words that would offend the listeners.
You're back and you're with us. We were just talking about how the French ran out 3-1 winners over Senegal. Here's the thing. These are two countries who are quite closely linked to Osasu. Of course, you know that more than anybody. How is it viewed in Senegal around players choosing their allegiances? And how often does Senegal come out as a second choice? I mean, I was recounting yesterday an experience when I interviewed Patrick Vieira in Senegal. He was born in Senegal, in Dakar, but opted to play for the French.
But here's the interesting part about Patrick, and I didn't know this until very recently. Neither of his parents are Senegalese. His father is from Gabon, which is in Central Africa, and his mother is from Cape Verde. So because when I heard the name Vieira, I said, hold on, you know, people in Senegal are largely Wolof people, and that name is not a name that is familiar to the ethnicities in Senegal. So after hearing that his mother came from Cape Verde, I could now understand where his name comes from. So he is really a mix of so many things.
Sure thing.
But isn't the bigger issue is we talked the other day.
Yeah.
You've got this issue with Suriname as well, where you see people like Ruud Gullit came out of Suriname and landed in Holland and became Dutch players. Isn't the big issue about the advancing of African football? We talked about the opportunities and the professionalism of that particular region of the world and how it could at one point win a World Cup. Unless you change the direction of travel. We've seen a few notable instances when Victor Moses, my player, went from playing for England to Nigeria. We saw Wilfried Zaha, who went from England and was sort of bypassed but went to the Ivory Coast. Unless you're going to change the direction of travel in people's minds, where France isn't a better place to play international football, African football is always going to become secondary in terms of its opportunities to achieve, isn't it?
Well, people do make first choices for African teams. It just depends. It depends on so many things. It depends on how your parents brought you up. It depends on the amount of cultural affinity to the country. I mean, look at somebody like Alex Iwobi, for instance.
Yeah.
Alex Iwobi was born in Nigeria, but he's grown up in England for most of his life. But he was raised in the Nigerian culture by his father.
But how does Senegalese view this? I mean, ultimately, it was a French colony once upon a time.
Yeah.
So how do the Senegalese react to a circumstance where players that could qualify to play for Senegal are sitting in a French team? Is there a resistance and a sort of a rejection of that principle in terms of a slight feeling of adversity towards players that have chosen to perhaps ignore their heritage and go for the bigger opportunity?
No, because like somebody like Patrice Evra can go home. He's Senegalese still. The fact that you've played for France doesn't change your blood, your family. It's still the same. It's just that sometimes people make choices. I mean, Bukayo Saka is Nigerian. He's from a Yoruba ethnic group. His parents came from Nigeria to England. Yes, he plays for England, but I know every holiday Bukayo goes, he has a foundation, and he does very serious work there.
Yeah.
So make no mistake about it. People make choices for their career. I mean, I would have loved to have Bukayo and Eberechi Eze play for Nigeria. I would have preferred it. But I totally understand it because I'm in the same situation as they are. I'm Nigerian, but I was born in England. I grew up in more than one country. I have two cultures. So some people will go to the Nigerian side. Some people would go to the English side or Scottish side or Welsh side. So
I totally understand what you're saying, Osasu. And just like Vieira, having been born in Senegal, playing for France. That's why he went back to Dakar in Senegal to open his own soccer academy, which had a hospital attached to it. It was something to behold. I remember going back there. Donald Trump has been given license to join the World Cup winners in their trophy lift, just as he did at the Club World Cup. Piers Morgan, yesterday on the show, made some interesting observations about that, as Sasser is giggling here. We will get into that the other side of this break, and we are live in New York.
Have spoken about your battle in inverted commas with Bukayo Saka.
Yeah.
He's just spoken very highly about you in the press conference.
Yeah. What did he say?
He said you were his brother.
Yeah.
So give some love back to B.
No, he knows. We know. Everyone talks about rivalry and stuff, but if you see us, you wouldn't think that. Of course, we're competitors at heart for sure, and we play in the same position for club and country. So there's that natural competition, but it's not rivalry for sure. We know we're pulling in the same direction. We know we both have parts to play for club and for country. So whenever he's playing, I want him to do the best he can, because he's an amazing player and it's going to help us win, and I'm sure he thinks the same. So that's really it.
It seems to be a bit of a theme, actually. Thomas Tuchel has almost created he's been very clear in everybody's roles, 2 players for each position, and then, elsewhere. And that you're close, the people that you're. What does that do, and how does it help?
Yeah, I think it's great, to be honest. And I feel like also we have such an amazing team where everybody knows how good they are. So it's like, it's not that you're going to be on the bench and you're rubbish. It might be that opponent, that team suits one player better, or someone's in form, and But like if you look at the last game, how the subs came on and won the game for us so easily. That's the strength and depth we have, and it's gonna be crucial for this tournament.
You impressed as well against Costa Rica. It was great seeing you back out there.
Yeah.
We've spoken previously about wanting to score more goals.
Yeah.
Is that the main part of your game that you're working on? Is being more clinical?
Yeah, definitely. I want to be more ruthless. I feel like to go to that level where I'm one of the best wingers in the world, I need to be. I need to score more, need to assist more. But besides that, I feel like I do so much for the team, irrespective of that. But yeah, definitely. As a winger, you want to score as much as possible. If I could score every game, I would.
Is that the ambition then? Be one of the best wingers in the world?
Yeah, no, for sure. I feel like the level I'm at now, that's the next step to go to. And I'll definitely get to that.
From New York City this morning, let's head back to London, more specifically to the Oval. It's cricket, it's the second test against New Zealand. Here's Sam.
Drinks in the afternoon session on day one. New Zealand 116 for 4, 2 wickets in the afternoon session so far for England. Josh Tongue bowling Nichols for 27, and we've seen a first test wicket for young Sonny Baker on debut. Racha Ravindra was just getting going, but he is back in the pavilion. Shorter ball, wider ball from Sonny Baker. Ravindra playing outside of his off stump, takes the outside edge. Really smart catch from Jacob Bethel, his second of the day, taking it tight to the body at gully. Ravindra going for 33. Daryl Mitchell at the crease, he's riding his luck. He was dropped the leg slip on 2, and he just played a wild drive and flays it past gully. It was in the air but in the gap too. So Daryl Mitchell unbeaten on 9, Blunder unbeaten on 3. England bowling nicely here at the Oval in the afternoon session. New Zealand asked to bat this morning are 116 for 4.
Sam, thank you very much indeed. Of course, England go into action tonight against Croatia. It's live on talkSPORT. One wonders how far England will go. Will they get all the way to the final? Will they win the World Cup? Donald Trump has been given licence to join the World Cup winners come their trophy lift, just as he did at the Club World Cup. talkSPORT understands that FIFA have no objection to Trump breaking the presentation protocol and handing the trophy directly to the winning captain. As and when that happens, we'll watch for that happening. Yesterday, when he was live with Simon and myself, Piers Morgan had a very interesting take on Trump being on the winner's podium.
Everyone cool their jets. Trump's going to be there. The World Cup is in the United States. He's the president of the United States, and he's going to want to be part of the action. So why don't we all just right now agree we're not going to throw all our toys out of the pram and overreact and get hysterical about the president of the country where it's being held being part of the grand finale when it ends. 2 words. Nelson Mandela. When South Africa won the Rugby World Cup, we all remember the amazing scenes afterwards. And you may remember the South African captain, Francois Pienaar, clutching the World Cup with Nelson Mandela. I don't remember anyone being annoyed about that. So should America, for example, win the World Cup? And it's not looking quite as unlikely as it was maybe 2 weeks ago, because I thought they were brilliant the other day. Should the United States win, I don't think we have any right to complain.
Guardian journalist Osasu Obeyiwana is with us in studio. Donald Trump and Nelson Mandela, Osasu, a fair comparison?
Are you joking? Are you serious?
Do you think Piers Morgan was serious?
I'm asking that question too. Is he really serious to make that comparison?
He said it. He said it. I for one do not think it's a fair comparison. Of course I don't. I don't know what Simon thinks. I can't speak for him. But it was a very different time in South Africa when Mandela did what Mandela did. And of course, it made us all think of a variety of different emotions. Just as Trump might do here, though. But in terms of a fair comparison, I think no. By far from a fair comparison. Tell me what you think.
Nelson Mandela is one of the iconic men of his age, probably one of the most iconic men in human history. To compare any head of state to that, you need a certain gravitas, wisdom, showing of patience, showing of decency and humanity. There are very few people in the world that can be compared to Nelson Mandela. I don't want, if I really say what I think, it will not be broadcastable. So I'm trying to be very polite.
Keep it broadcastable. And Osasu, say what you think.
Piers Morgan is a very intelligent guy. So I know he doesn't believe what he said. I strongly believe he did that to provoke a reaction from the audience. And provoke the audience he successfully did.
See, I don't think that was Piers' intention. The last thing I want to do is defend Piers. But he was talking more about heads of state being involved. The argument was about should political figures of any colour or persuasion be involved in an awarding ceremony of a World Cup. So Piers' argument was just to pluck a figure out of the air. Some people would say that Nelson Mandela was prescribed as a terrorist as a result of his activities.
By whom?
by various parties over the years, whether it be
by the apartheid government that was keeping black people as subhumans.
I'm not advancing the argument. I'm telling you what other people would say. So, with due respect.
Yeah, but Simon, if he's going to pluck a figure, make sure it's the right figure.
No, come on.
Make sure it's the appropriate figure.
No, we're curating.
How can you compare Mandela and Trump?
He wasn't comparing Mandela and Trump. He was talking about heads of state. No, he wasn't comparing the virtues of the men. He was talking about the positions that they occupy. I'm not defending peers.
I accept that.
No. I don't accept it. You know why? We need to
ask his intention. Ask him his intention.
No, we need to put each event in its right context. When Mandela lifted the trophy with Francois Pienaar, the Rugby World Cup in South Africa. Now, because people need to understand these things and not just say things without knowledge. Rugby was regarded as a white sport in South Africa. Rugby was regarded as a symbol of the Boers, the Dutch-speaking South Africans, and black people, the majority of people, did not care for rugby at all.
Of course. Let me bring it up to date.
That wasn't his point.
Should Trump present the World Cup to the winning captain?
I will answer you, but can I just finish what I was saying? Nelson Mandela understood during the Rugby World Cup that it was an opportunity to bring both white South Africans and black South Africans together. Because at the start of the tournament, they didn't care for the Rugby World Cup, but Nelson Mandela insisted that it was going to be used to bring the nation together. And as the team was more and more successful and got to the final and won, that happened.
Right.
So
there was a strong relevance for Mandela to do
huge relevance. It is
and
way
what about
beyond
now,
rugby.
here, at the World Cup, and Trump's involvement?
How do you compare that to what I've just explained to you? Where is the similar context?
He's a head of state.
No. Yes, we know that.
You're advancing an argument which is not the argument that was curated yesterday. And it's a wonderful thing about media. It creates its own agenda and then fulfills it. You have a head of state. And whether you like it or you don't like it, there is precedent for head of states being utilised to hand out tournament baubles, whether it be the Queen in 1966 for the English World Cup or whether it be Nelson Mandela, who's a far more virtuous man for a variety of different reasons. The point is, should a head of state doing it? And in America, you have a republic. He's not only the president, he's the head of state. So precedent has been set. Now, whether you like Trump or you don't like it, there is a precedence. And whether you think there's more merit in Nelson Mandela, and easily the argument is to suggest that there is. It doesn't mean...
think there is.
Well, fine, okay, but let's not get lost in the weeds. We're talking about Trump, and people are resisting the notion of Trump being involved because they don't like Trump and what he represents. But the argument is, should a head of state... I'm always in the camp of suggesting politics stays away from sport.
Yeah.
But given that precedence exists, then the same argument can be advanced that Trump has every right to be handing the trophy over to whomsoever wins it on the back of historic circumstances, however they manifest themselves.
Can you make an argument, Osasu, for Trump not to be involved in the World Cup presentation ceremony?
You just said that it is unconventional for that to happen. Why should we have it now? For what reason?
But I've just given you 3 examples where it wasn't unconventional. He's the head of state. I've just given you, we've just had 2 examples, whatever the virtue of them are. I'm not for or against it. I'm for debating the principles of it.
Jim, I'm trying to be really, really careful talking about Trump.
Yeah, of course.
Because this is a very sensitive issue.
And we're here.
So it's a very, very sensitive issue. And I have very strong opinions about this matter. But we're here to talk football. We're here to talk the World Cup. And I prefer to talk about, I talk about politics. Politics is another thing I report on and talk about.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about football, so I would rather stick to that.
Of course. The other side of the break, though, I do want to reflect on your Observer column, because you spoke, I think, to a senior member of FIFA who said the treatment of Iran here in the USA is unacceptable. We might touch on that, the other side of this break, at 3:30 back home in the UK, 10:30 with us here live in New York City. the Tottenham Hotspur board and executive team are fully focused on delivering commitments that we set out to fans at the end of the season. We are all in. We're investing in it. You'll see more of this in the coming months. Is this evidence of what they're going to try and do?
Well, they can talk to Ferenc Puskas for a medium if they want, but they're not going to sign Tonelli. He's not going to sign for Tottenham. But
why?
Because I doubt that he will see an upward move being Tottenham Hotspur, given that he's been at Newcastle, given that the expectation of Newcastle was far greater than ultimately he possibly signed on for. You know, the expectation was that the ownership would have pushed harder and higher. There's expectations of him going to certain bigger clubs. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up at Arsenal, and the same thing happens to Spurs of Eberechi Eze as it does with Tonelli. Now, there's never been an issue with Spurs' spending, has there? I mean, I thought Spurs were spending 150, 200 million pounds pretty regularly. Both with this new ownership, laughable new ownership, and the previous incumbent management with Daniel.
Yeah.
So there was never an issue. They were spending 70-odd million quid on Dominic Solanke, weren't they, a couple of years ago? It's been about the wages. The wages are the issue that Tottenham Hotspur have found themselves falling foul of because they won't adjust their wage parameters, because they've got banking covenants that support their borrowings. So I never felt for one moment that these guys wouldn't spend more money. They've made so much bloody noise about how much money they're going to spend. I mean, they spent a wonderful investment in January of this year, didn't they, when they were banging in trouble, and they spent £35 million on Conor Gallagher, who they recouped by selling Brennan Johnson to Palace. So there's no surprise in my mind. There's no surprise in my mind that they will spend money.
Well, they're going to get Van Hecke. They might get to Mali. We don't.
Wow.
Yeah, but come on.
No, come on, what? If you're going to take on a top six side, you're going to be, in order to be better than the six sides that you're trying to emulate, which is Tottenham Hotspur's aspiration, you better spend bigger, better, and buy better players than them. And so with that in mind, wow, you're buying...
Thomas Tuchel's urging England to be brave tonight. He's told talkSPORT the last 2 weeks have been among the most enjoyable of his career.
I'm very excited to take the step into the tournament. It builds up, but at the same time I'm very calm because I know what I see the players on a daily level, and I feel the energy, and I feel that it's exactly right.
England v Croatia is live on talkSPORT with all the build-up from 7. Real Madrid have confirmed the signing of free agent Bernardo Silva on a 2-year contract. The former Man City midfielder plays for Portugal against DR Congo today. That's live on talkSPORT 2 from 6 p.m. Lionel Messi says he's surpassed even his wildest boyhood dreams with Argentina. A hat-trick against Algeria means he's the World Cup's joint leading scorer of all time. Kylian Mbappe is only 2 away after getting 2 in France's win over Senegal. But the Premier League Golden Boot winner Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank doesn't think Mbappe is close to Messi's level.
If you see his first half, he was horrendous. He was poor.
Yeah.
I've never seen Messi like that. You know, Messi doesn't have those kind of games.
And Rangers have confirmed the departure of Danny Röhl as head coach. He's off to RB Salzburg. We understand Derek McInnes is one of those who could take over at Ibrox. Get more at talksport.com.
We're live from New York. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and we're live in talkSPORT, live in YouTube as well. Even Prime Video, wherever you want to watch the show, you can. And many people remarking on this incredible studio facility we have here in the 50th floor of the World Trade Center, our home for the past few days and the next few weeks. England go into action tonight against Croatia. It's live in talkSPORT. And thereafter, they play Ghana in their second game, a highly fancied African nation. And I'm delighted to say, before we leave you today in half an hour's time, we'll talk about Ghana in the company of this man, Guardian journalist Osasu Ubeyuwana. What I can tell you is Osasu is a darn good journalist, and he's been in conversation, and it shows in his column in The Observer today. He's been in conversation with a senior member of FIFA, who I think, Osasu, correct me if I'm wrong, has told you that the treatment of Iran here as a competing nation is totally unacceptable. Would you expand on that for me?
Of course. Every country that competes at the World Cup has to operate on a level playing field. That is a given. It's not even a debatable matter. When you have the situation Iran finds itself in now, it's unfair, it's unjust. We have to put aside the politics of it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
What is going on between Iran and the USA in the larger political sphere, that is a different matter. A national team cannot come without their federation. They cannot come without their officials. They cannot come without support. When any host nation signs an agreement with FIFA to host a World Cup, you give guarantees, and you are duty-bound to honor those guarantees. How can you ask Iran to come in a day before the game? How can you ask them to leave the country immediately after the game is finished?
They went back to Mexico, right?
How do you organize? I mean, Simon, you've been a chairman of a club. You know what it is to prepare a team for a match. How can this be okay?
Oh, listen, I don't disagree that you have to hold your nose a little bit with it. But the key component part of this is not necessarily about the positioning of the American government and what they're doing, is that the FIFA have signed a hosting agreement. If there are obligations under that hosting agreement, it's entirely incumbent upon FIFA to stand up for the obligations that they themselves have inserted into an agreement that the Americans are either not complying with or are not obliged to be. So with that in mind, it's all well and good. It's wonderful to have a whistleblower. It's wonderful to someone sitting there saying, in this perfect world that we live in, we should be able to do this. But you are the guardians of this. You are the ones that entered into the hosting agreements. Why aren't you standing up and making a big noise about it? Because it's wonderful. Isn't it fascinating how you've got Gianni Infantino walking into a dressing room with Iranian players, having given a peace award to a man that's bombing their country, talking to them about how resilient they are. I mean, can you not see?
You can't make it up.
You can't make it up.
You can't make it up. You can't.
Yeah. We mentioned Ghana, Sasu, and England will play Ghana next. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. They're still to play Croatia tonight. But Ghana will begin their World Cup action today against Panama. That's in Canada. One man who won't be present is midfielder Thomas Partey, who's been denied entry. Partey is set to stand trial in the UK on rape and sexual assault charges. He was charged last year with 5 counts of rape and 1 of sexual assault, then charged with 2 new counts of rape in February this year. He has pleaded not guilty. Yesterday, he lost his appeal against the Canadian government for a visa after it emerged that he wrongly informed officials in Canada he had never been arrested or charged with a crime. Documents submitted to Canada's federal court show that no outstanding charges were declared when the original application was submitted by Ghana's Football Association. Simon, I put this to you. To be a World Cup host, should you be expected to bend and flex on policy?
Well, first of all, I don't know when the declaration was made because he's only recently been charged. So I don't know, the arrest side of things is slightly different. We've had this discussion about domestic football and the burden of obligation. I always believe, and I hope he does too next to me, that you are innocent until proven guilty. That's not ignoring the values of a victim circumstance. In this situation, we have seen on a number of occasions, we've seen Ched Evans being acquitted or bring an appeal and reverse the decision. We've seen Benjamin Mendy go through a protracted process and have to reassert his rights back against his football club. I do think in this situation that in a domestic footing, you would probably, once the burden of charging has been reached, for the well-being of the reputation of the club and perhaps the preservation of the player in a domestic situation, you might take him out of the firing line. Not off your commercial obligations to meet your pay requirements of him, but just take him off the firing line, knowing what sport can do. In this situation, where the Ghanaians have decided, whether you agree with it or not, that they are in the camp of he has not been found guilty of anything, we're including him in the roster, my view is that it's incumbent upon the Canadians to accept him into the country because he's guilty of nothing yet.
I would have totally agreed with you, but for one thing.
Go on.
Why didn't he declare?
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah.
You see,
that's their get out of jail card, isn't it?
Yeah, well, but he gave it to them.
Yeah, it's their get out of jail
card.
You
can't lie on your form. That form was filled days ago. Just be honest. You see,
why wouldn't a guy, again, we talk about professionalism the other day. You made a point about the African federations needing to be more professional. They knew the circumstances. Why weren't they guiding him? Do you think he actually filled his own bloody form?
Is he illiterate? Are you seriously saying that?
Do you think he filled his own form?
I'm not going to answer that.
You know that.
No, I'm not going to answer because I would only talk about what I know. The fact is, you didn't, like, before I had to come here, and I'm sure all of us
we all did.
We had to go to the US Embassy at 9 Elms, okay? Because you can't use an Esther to come and do journalism work here. You have to get an I-visa to come here. And when I was interviewed at the embassy, I was asked questions, and you've got to answer all of them truthfully. You've got to put the right things on your form. So if you don't put the right thing on your form, you're in trouble.
But you live in a different world to some extent, and so do we, right? It's commercial. So we know, what is the purpose of a player liaison officer? We all know, whether we can speak to it, but the balance of probability is the player in conjunction with the people that are there to look after the players would have filled this form in. So again, whilst we look at the player and say, what, are you illiterate? We also have to look at the Ghanaians and say, well, come on.
No, I agree. They should have checked. They should have checked because you need this player.
Oh, yeah.
You know his situation.
Yeah.
You need
and you've already crossed the Rubicon of making a decision against a public backdrop. What you've created is a double whammy. You're being vilified now for including what people consider to be a person of very dubious character. I'm not suggesting I'm in that camp, but people are. And now you're going to be accused of, not only did you include him, you didn't have the wherewithal, you helped him lie on a form.
Interestingly, Partey was allowed into the US and he's at their training base near Boston. But it's probably highly unlikely, would you agree with me, Osasu, that we're going to see him featuring in this World Cup?
Well, if he has to, and for any games in Canada, it will be impossible now. But since he's been allowed here, if there are any games here, he will play them here. Why wouldn't he? Because he has no issue in the US. The issues are in Canada, not here.
It should be interesting to see. Again, I'm not defending the argument.
So I don't see any reason why he wouldn't play in Boston. Why wouldn't he?
Because you need him in the team, of course. There's a lot of outrage. Every time the US does something, because of Trump, there's a huge volume. Where's the noise about this? We're bringing the subject up, but it's not a lot of noise. I mean, this is a country that once upon a time decided to dig deep into the bank accounts of truckers because they dared push back against the COVID policies. So this is a country that has a strange little worldview.
No, but I would have totally agreed with your point. If he had filled the form correctly, then we could have said, OK, let's deal with what you are saying.
But do you think, OK, let's have a little leap of faith.
A false declaration on a form knocks you off from the jump.
But he must, but he must have done the same false declaration to the US.
No, you can't say that.
Well, hang on.
You can't say that without evidence. You don't know.
So he filled in two separate forms then differently?
Of course, because they're two different countries, Simon.
But do you think he applied... OK, hear me through. Do you think he applied for the visas at the same time? So why would he fill in one form one way and one form... All the politics around the Americans are more robust.
Well, Simon, it'll be interesting to see, Osasu, what happens, because if Ghana finished second in Group L, their round of 32 match would take place in Toronto. So we'll see. That is then. This is now.
How's that for sporting integrity?
Coming up, obviously they've got a game against Panama. That's how they begin their group match, their round of group matches, and that's today, and that's in Canada. Thereafter, it's England. What we're going to see from Ghana, Osasu, you know the nation is a footballing nation. What have they got this time that might make Croatia, England and Panama think, oh, Ghana, they could be a problem?
It's a difficult one to answer for so many reasons. In the last 5 years, Ghana have changed coach 6 times. How the hell can you build a team when you are chopping and changing your coaches like underwear that you use every day? It's ridiculous. Okay? Now, Carlos Queiroz is there now. Carlos Queiroz did not have any competitive games with Ghana as head coach. So his first competitive game with Ghana is here.
It's here.
Here. You
Right.
can't. Can you imagine England having a head coach and not having a competitive game with England before taking them to
So the
World
players
Cup?
haven't played under Queiroz competitively until now?
No.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy.
It's bonkers. It's absolute bonkers.
In spite of that, what do you think they might do, Sasu?
I mean, you don't have Partey. They also don't have Mohamed Kudus, who is the talisman of the team. It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah. Okay, Sasu, stay with us because we're in the home straight. It's coming up to 11:15 here in the morning in New York. 4:45 with you back home in the UK. And Sasu will take us right up to the top of the hour. We're live on talkSPORT.
I think all England have to do is win. And I disagree, Andy. There has to be a good performance tomorrow because if there isn't, we already seen the kind of pressure that Thomas Tuchel's on for not picking, Trent, for not picking some of the players he's picked. They have to score tomorrow and they have to perform well.
Yeah, but I understand why you would say that, but look at Spain, right? I mean, it was an awful performance, but we've seen teams start the competition really poorly and go on to actually win it. We've seen teams lose their first game and go on to win it. For me, as an England fan, although I will sit here tomorrow and say it was a terrible performance, but we won 1-0, if we win 1-0 and we get all 3 points, that, for me, is the most important thing.
Overall, but you don't compare us to Spain. No disrespect. We're nowhere near them.
I'm not comparing. I'm just giving you an example of a team that plays badly and doesn't get...
That's a bad example. That's a bad example because we haven't won, Andy.
What? No. I'm not comparing. Argentina. I'm not comparing England to Argentina, but they have lost an opening group game and gone on to win the World Cup.
That's still a bad example, Andy, because these are teams that have won the World Cup.
Okay, Joe, what would you rather? Okay, what would you rather have tonight? An unbelievable England performance, Harry Kane hat-trick, we draw 3-3, or a terrible, one of the worst performances you've ever seen, and we win with a 90th minute penalty?
Well, Andy, of course we would rather win.
That's
but
what I'm saying.
Those examples that you gave are with teams that have started badly and gone on to win the World Cup.
Well, no, I'm just giving you examples of teams that haven't started the competition well and gone on to the late stages. I don't think it's important that England play well tonight. I think it's important we win. What's key tonight? If number one thing that needs to happen, is it a win or performance? The number one, top of the list.
The number one thing that needs to happen, Andy, is we need to score and play well.
Yeah, but that's two things. That's top. What's top of the list?
No.
That's top two. What's top two? That's the answer.
I grouped them together.
You've no groupage, I'm afraid.
Andy, this what happened.
Football Form Roundup on talkSPORT with Sky Bet. The world's gone football. Get in on it with Sky Bet. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Okay, here in New York, it's time to catch up with the odds thanks to Sky Bet. We're joined by Ross Williams from Sky Bet to look at today's football and discuss the latest odds. Ross, welcome to the United States. I know you're back home in the UK. How do you look back on what we witnessed on Tuesday, just yesterday there?
Yeah, the stars came out, didn't they? The stars really came out on Tuesday. And it was a pretty good day for the punters as well. Mbappe, Haaland, Messi, 7 goals between them. As you can imagine, that was pretty popular. All three to score the brace was priced around 115 to 1. And would you believe 38 customers with Sky Bet backed all three to score at least 2 goals? Hell of a night for them. The Messi hat-trick, 33 to 1 as well. 620 customers were on that, as obviously he joined Miroslav Klose at the top of the all-time list. Yeah, a heck of a night. I think everyone watching, I know you were at the game. Unbelievable stuff.
It was indeed. What about France and Argentina then, Ross? Are they out and out in terms of favourites at this stage?
Yeah, they're both looking pretty strong. They both put a bit of a marker down last night, didn't they? France are still rock solid 4-1 favourites for the competition. Argentina a little bit further down the list, but they have shortened into 9-1 at this stage. And those that have placed a £5 outright bet on those with Sky Bet are also now entered into our £5 million jackpot, which means if England go on to win the World Cup, and who knows, they'll also pick up an equal share of that huge jackpot. There's still about 24 hours to get involved in that. So essentially a double chance to win if you don't actually fancy England and the Three Lions go all the way.
And what about England going in tonight? How do you see it?
Yeah, the excitement's building, isn't it? They're well fancied. They're odds on, the 4-6 to take down Croatia this evening. No team has taken more bets in the outright market actually than England at this point with Sky Bet. So the confidence is there. And just to add, customers can grab themselves, should I say, a free bet for the game today. And as always, Harry Kane's going to be so vitally important, isn't he? We're going to super boost Harry Kane this evening to even money to have a shot on target. And hopefully England can get off to a flying start against Croatia.
Ross, thank you very much indeed. That was a look at the latest odds thanks to Sky Bet. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Football Form Roundup on talkSPORT with Sky Bet. Download the Sky Bet app and get in on it with Sky Bet. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Okay, top Guardian journalist Sasso Obey-Ioana is in studio with Simon and myself as we head to the top of the hour. Sasso, like you, I can't really tolerate it when people rear up and criticise, for various reasons, various aspects of African football, and yet those same critics seem to have been handed it on a plate with Tunisia sacking their new manager after just one game. They sacked their manager Sabri Lamouchi after the 5-1 defeat by Sweden. The optics are not good, are they?
Well, let me tell you a little story, Jim, because you're new to African football. This is not the first time Tunisia have done something like this. In 1994, during the African Cup of Nations in Tunisia, which Tunisia were hosting, the manager, Youssef Zouaoui, lost the opening game of the AFCON 3-1 to Mali in Tunis, and he was fired immediately after. So it's not the first time the Tunisians have done this. And to be honest, I have no pity for Lamouchi, because in my opinion, there was no reason for Sami Trabelsi, who qualified Tunisia for the World Cup, to have been sacked after the last AFCON in Morocco. He should have been allowed to take the team here because he earned the ticket. So the Tunisian Football Federation, to put it mildly, is in a state of utter chaos. The president of the Tunisian Football Federation is responsible for the mess we are having now with regards to who won the AFCON and the appeal and the decision of the CAF Appeals Committee, because he was a member. And a politically exposed person is not supposed to be a member of a judicial body. And the fact that he's a lawyer and he didn't even realize that the moment he became president of the federation, he should have resigned from the CAF Appeals Board is just mind-boggling to me. So it's so much nonsense going on in Tunisia at the moment.
I want to finish on a positive note, Sasu. Simon and I were at Brazil-Morocco in their opening group game. It was a goal apiece, but Simon, I think you'd agree, the shining light was 18-year-old Ayoub Bouadi. For
player, that guy.
Morocco.
Yeah,
what a player. Plays for Leo, right?
Not for long.
Not for long, because now Arsenal, it's been reported back home, are showing big interest, Osasu, in Ayoub Bouadi. What do you think? Would a move to the Premier League come too soon for this boy at 18 years of age? Or do you think, no, this is a wonderful story, let's see this out, let's see him go to the Premier League in England?
My feeling is that when players are young, because you see, the Premier League is a tough league, you have to be ready to hit the ground running in the Premier League. There's no room for growth because the managers want the results, not today, they wanted it the day before yesterday.
Yeah.
So as an 18-year-old, it depends. You know, these, as you would know, having owned a club, before you pick a player, you do your investigation, you look at the family of the player, the character, to see whether the person has the right mental attitude for the kind of job you want him to do. Should he go to the Premier League? I think he should in time. Is he ready at 18 at the moment? I don't know. It depends, but he is definitely a talented player.
We sat together. We loved watching him, Osasu. You were nudging me saying, look at this kid. He's running it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of the advantages he had was that he had a redundant Brazil midfield, and he won't have that against other opposition. But, oh, no, he's a player. Whether he should have an interim step. It's interesting, Jude Bellingham went from English football to German football, and then ended up at Real Madrid, didn't bypass the Premier League. But he decided, and that might have been for a variety of different reasons. I think at 18 years of age, signing for an Arsenal is not signing as a first-team player, and that depends whether that's his direction of travel and he's prepared to take that route. I would say that there's definitely a pathway for a player of that perceived talent. We're very early at our viewing of them. So many times do you see a player and see his circumstances and elevate immediately. You've got to see him in a variety of different spaces and places.
Yeah. Do Ghana beat Panama today in their what do you think, in their opening game, Osasu?
They should, but, you know, as they say, the ball is round, the field is green. It's 11 men against 11, and on any given day, any team can be beaten. So,
yeah, and England-Croatia, Simon, what do you want to see tonight, my friend?
I want to see exactly what Ben Foster described, which is, I think there is a possibility that if England play very well, that they can put out a very significant result. I don't think Thomas Tuchel allows himself to suggest that actually we need to get our engine started. He'll want to hit the ground running. But what I want to see is exactly what Ben described, which is front foot football with a degree of ambition about it, and that will do the job. If we win 1-0, you know, we won't do a national holiday like you guys do, but we will ultimately be one task done. I fancy England to do well tonight, and I don't just mean win the game. I fancy them to win it handsomely. But, you know, that will mean that I'll be a hostage to fortune to the way that they play. But I'll take that stance. I think England will play well tonight and win convincingly.
Osasu, thank you for joining us again today.
My pleasure, as always.
Enjoying having you here on the 50th floor of the World Trade Center. Up next, Roy Jennings and Darren Bent on World Cup Game Day Live. And of course, they're doing that for a reason. The reason being, later tonight, back home in the UK, with us in the afternoon here in the US of A, England get their engines started up against Croatia. Let's see what England under Thomas Tuchel can do. From us in New York, it's bye for now. Looking forward to a lovely morning and a pretty decent afternoon as well, because the sun is shining and we're going to get out there. Thanks for being with us today, live on talkSPORT.